What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the KCM week number 2 of our first season of 2025. We're getting into it. We finally got a Protoss lineup here. So get excited, guys. We're jumping in. Light Speed, Royal Tyson, Mini YSC, Jadong, Queen, Hero. It's not quite the best Protoss lineup, but honestly, YSC and Tyson have been performing recently, so I'm pretty happy about it.
Yeah, we were just talking a little bit about that off air. Tyson and YSC, not the ideal choices for the Protoss squad at all, but certainly were punching above their weight in recent weeks, so I actually am feeling a bit better about this squad than I would usually be. Maybe they can at least take out the Terran squad, for example, and get a few points on the board.
Soul Key is missing here. Jadong, though, has been playing a little bit out of his mind. Queen, of course, with that last season all kill. He's going to be the ringer of the group, possibly. Hero's still in the background, hasn't been performing as well lately, but he's a guy that we're always looking to when it comes to, you know, possibly taking down an SSL, you know, possibly coming into his own and taking over the scene. So we're going to keep a close eye on him. But first, Queen versus Royal. What do you think about this matchup here, Sean?
It's going to be pretty interesting. I mean, Queen and Royal, both very competent players and have done well for themselves in SSL. Both have kind of reigned as champions in there for a short time. Royal's only got one belt under him, but certainly a very competent player. Hasn't really been showing a strong game as of late. Similar to Queen, there was a moment of dominance where Queen seemed unbeatable for a good year or so, especially against Zerg versus Protoss. Hasn't had that kind of dominance in quite some time, so I'm really curious how these two gamers line up with each other, because I imagine it's going to be a bit more Queen favored, but I could be wrong.
Everything starts to change as the SSL draws nearer and nearer. SSL is such an important tournament, not for income reasons. The income is kind of insignificant, but for clout, it's insane how much actual prestige that brings to a player. You manage to take an SSL victory, you're going to be the talk of the town and the first person drafted in every pro league, so you're going to be making money in a lot of different ways, including streaming and getting in that pro league. So everybody's going to be training especially hard for that as it gets closer, and we're going to get to watch these players as they evolve and practice, get up to snuff for that SSL season coming up soon.
Yeah, it does seem to be that some players kind of come in waves with how much they train, how much effort they put in. You've got the kind of B team players that are training year round because they still want to make it, but some of these other guys, especially on the highest levels of this echelon of play, they tend to like kind of play in waves where closer to the event they pick up the pace and start to put in those extra hours and really start to grind out games as we near the start date to that. So it can be really exciting how suddenly like players that were playing a little bit off suddenly start playing out of their mind.
Absolutely. It's hard to stay in shape all season. It's like a bodybuilder, right? They might be a little bit out of shape, and then right as competition time comes around, then they really, you know, strengthen up and slim down to look at their absolute best.
I would say MMA fighters are slightly better comparison, only because they're in peak body physique just before the fight and the body's starting to break down, and just after the fight the body can't really handle that conditioning anymore. So it's like they try and reach peak performance for the event and then kind of let themselves break down post-event.
That makes sense, for sure. Well, getting into this game and taking a look at the strategy so far, Royal cut a lot of early Marines to get his build rolling as quickly as possible. It's a 2 racks play. I think he just added a 3rd racks now, which is a pretty modern approach. 3 racks with the pretty quick stim pack upgrade. I don't think he's going to move out. I've seen a lot of players utilizing this recently. They go for the very early academy, but they don't tend to go very far away from that wall, and they're just going to stick around that wall and wait for the 3 racks to kick in. As soon as the Mutalisks arrive, they're going to have the range finished, and then they're going to have a very good push out as they drive back the Mutalisks. So we'll look to see that. Queen, on the other hand, keeping his drone count very low. He's going to go into this 2 hatch middle with a 3rd base on the way. He's going to have a lot of pressure here initially, but it might be a struggle to keep this 3rd base alive, or even to keep his natural alive as Royal pushes out with that pretty strong force of Marines. It's going to all come down to the micro as Queen sends these Mutalisks in for the initial harassment. How much damage can he do, and will Royal be able to dash forward and target down any Mutalisks as they try to harass?
Yeah, I really do like this sort of modern approach to TVZ that we've been seeing as of late, kind of negating the 5-minute move out timing for a much stronger infantry force later on. So you have a little bit more staying power against those Mutalisks, and also have much earlier and stronger counterattack options to the Zerg to put on a lot of pressure early on, at the very least force a lot of Sunkens in response to that. Queen now already out with the bare minimal amount of Mutalisks. He's made 5 so far. 1 already gunned down by Royal. Really great Marine control here, and also pushing up onto the high ground, already threatening Queen. Maybe able to get away from making not being too many turrets here. If he's able to put on the pressure early on and keep Queen watching this Bioforce to keep track of it, really suboptimal for Queen. There is the Lings wrapping around the back here. Maybe they can do a run by or get something done in the natural expansion if Royal tries to push the issue.
Ooh, gonna dive in with the Lings now. Gonna kill this 1 Marine in the mineral line. Oh, maybe the block is gonna be so good. Wow. Look at that medic placement. Absolutely perfect. Royal parries that attack, and these Lings are going to go down. By the way, super fast factory came out of him. It's like a 6-minute factory, so a full minute ahead of schedule to where most Terran players will be throwing down their factory, that kind of standard 7-minute factory. He's bucking that trend and going for way faster tech. I think we're going to see a really big push out of Royal, possibly with Valkyries, to just come in and break way before there's any hint of lurkers to come out.
Yeah, I think you might be right about that. And I really do like this middle of the road approach. Like, instead of going straight into 4x, just kind of using the 3 to put on a little bit of pressure here, apply some pressure to the Zerg while also teching up very quickly here. 1 whole minute ahead of the minimum schedule timing. It's going to put me in a great position to try and transition against these Mutalisks forces and put on a lot of pressure onto Queen, who hasn't thrown down anything additional yet. Just more and more Mutalisks have been produced for the time being. Not really any additional drones at the 3rd as well, just 1 mining minerals as well as the gas, so nothing really added on to Queen. What you see is what you get for the time being. Coming in natural expansion, killing 2 of these turrets, opening up the position and weakening it while adding on some additional Sunkens. But Royal is kind of calling his bluff a little bit and is going full steam ahead to the natural expansion right now, saying there might be 2 Sunkens finished when these Marines arrive, but not 3. He could be in a little bit of trouble here.
Well, at the very bare minimum, he's at least going to force back these Mutas, but I wouldn't like to see him dive in right now. He just finished his 2 starports and the armory, so 2 Valkyries are on the way. If he just waits for those 2 Valkyries to pop out, he's going to be able to take such a better trade against these Mutalisks as they try to dive in to help protect the sunken colonies. So waiting on those for the time being. This is a really great play from Royal. He may even be able to reinforce this army 1 last time, but in the meantime, Queen is going to come over here and start to kill some SCVs. You can see that Royal's not making any more. He's just working on building out this army. Great first volley there, dealing a lot of damage to all of these Mutas, but he can't get complacent with these Valkyries. Don't allow the Mutas to come in and pick them off, otherwise he might end up in a bad position. He's running away from these Mutas, and he might even get the shot on the way out. This is pretty good stuff from Royal. He is going to dive in now. Can he actually kill one of the Valkyries? Oh, it's so close. He does kill both of the Valkyries, but dude, they did so much damage to the Mutas. And what is this? Marines just walking into the natural? That's not how you're supposed to do it.
I think he's trying to throw Queen a bit of a curveball there, make him think that some of the forces are there while they rest clean up the 3rd base. A little bit unoptimal control here from Royal. All the Mutas are really low on HP though. Oh, he needs to be careful. He needs to get a couple of Scourge in here. He has got a pair of Scourge. He might just barely lose this 3rd base. Only a few Marines are gunning it down. He could try and save that with some Lings coming out the eggs or something, but a little bit difficult to do so. There has got the pair of Scourge to try and get these last remaining Valkyries. Hasn't been able to find a connection there, so he's going to have to tuck tail and run for the time being. Try and regenerate some HP HP on those units as well. Hydrogen on the way for lurkers, but losing this third base is going to be a little bit painful for Queen. Macroing up on 2 bases versus Terran, a little bit difficult, especially with these Valkyries playing point defense. Coming in and trying to get some additional SCV kills, does manage to find connections on one of those Valkyries this time, but it needs to be careful. Why is he chasing him with the Valkyries? Ooh, Royal is playing with fire right now. He almost lost the Valkyrie for free.
Oh, he is going to end up losing a Valkyrie. This is something that really frustrates me with Terran players, is why are we not building bunkers right now? We just killed the third base. Royal is in such a massive lead. Queen has to kind of all in right now, and if there's a couple of bunkers in the front and he adds on some more turrets, what are you going to do with all the mutas that you've produced, and how are you ever going to break through that with a low economy 2 hatch, 2 base, 2 gas lurker transition? It's just not really going to do much damage if you've got the vision and some extra bunkers out in the front. But if you allow him to keep whittling away at your marine count and then get the lurkers into the front, that's a totally different story. I can't believe that Queen is also going for an evolution chamber right now. Can you explain that to me, Shin? How is he expecting there to be an upgrade finish in this game?
Yeah, no, he expects to somehow transition. I think he identifies that his only way of winning this game is by somehow surviving a transition. I'm not sure if he can. It's going to be a tall order. If he can catch this Bioforce out on the map and maybe avoid disaster for a little bit of time. I mean, to be fair, if he can stop the Valkyries finding value, there is a way of winning this game. We haven't got any vessels out on the map currently. There is a way of slightly resetting this game with the use of some lurkers and kind of just eating a few irradiates initially. There is a way of surviving the phase of the game, but the problem is the economy afterwards. Like, Queen is going to have such a hard time securing a third gas. He's already sending out his Hydras onto the map, which is a great idea. Get them morphing into lurkers elsewhere. Start setting up your base now while you still can, because he's going to need every tiny bit of help to try and hold a third gas here, because eventually Royal's going to explode onto him, but Queen does have a little breathing room.
Well, this is the reason why I said that Terran should prepare for an all-in, is just because Queen is going to be, if he decides to transition like he's doing right now, he's going to be so far behind. It's going to be so slow, so delayed. I just can't imagine it working. He's diving in with the Scourge. Can he actually get a connection here? He will get one of the Valkyries. Looks like he's going after the second one. He is going to pick that off, but the mutas are super low. All of these mutas are on red HP. A lot of SCVs are being picked off, and he's actually dropped his supply quite low. Throws down an irradiate on a high HP, or on a low HP muta. That dies very quick. But now the mutas are so low. Almost every single one of them dies. Just 2 mutas escape out of there. And that was everything that Queen had. He's trying to transition right now, Shun. He's making, let's count it. He's making Lurker, Hive, Defiler upgrades, armor. All of those are costing gas, and he's sitting here on 2 gas. He's going to have hardly any units at all, and that's just his entire army right now.
Yeah, this is exactly right, Say. If he catches one of these vessels, that's huge, though. And if he can also get some good spine connections with the subterranean spines of those lurkers, some links coming into support. He's trying to push the issue. This is not a good idea, though, Queen. Somehow he does box the Marines in, though. This is crazy that the lurkers were quite not in range. Maybe he can still get some follow-up spines on those. Is somehow trading out somewhat cost-efficiently. Way better than I thought he was able to achieve. This is actually kind of crazy good for Queen. He's somehow done almost the impossible, simplified the game state by the best form of defense sometimes is the offense, and he somehow made that work here with some crazy positioning of these lurkers and lings, and is now forcing Royal back into a contained game state. What is happening?
I don't know what to say, Shun. Somehow he was able to push the Marines back there. He's going to stack his lurkers to buy time, because this is the real problem, is that there's a lot of vessels. Another vessel? Oh my goodness. That was very close.
But what do you do now?
The radiate. There's going to be enough irradiate here. There's going to be 4 irradiates, and there's only 3 gas units. So yeah, he will just irradiate everything to death. Really nothing that can break this. Can't really do anything about it. He's going to consume his lurkers. He actually missed out on that, because if the unit dies before consume finishes happening, then you don't get the energy. So those lurkers ended up dying. The Defiler there is outside. It's not underneath the Dark Swarm. A lot of Firebats are coming out. They should be able to clear everything. He's definitely not going to die here, but maybe this buys enough time for Queen to get his third base gas fully running. And he did finish that upgrade, so he's still on curves, kind of, I guess. It's just such an awkward game situation. I've never quite seen it happen like this.
I mean, yeah, we don't... I was kind of interested to see where these two players would stack up. So I didn't expect this kind of game. This is kind of wild from these two. Now we have masses of firebats chasing away a single defiler. This is kind of funny. It's like watching shepherds herd cattle or something. A good surround by those wolves. Gonna snatch up that shepherd, though. And this is looking a little bit rough, though. If he can somehow utilize these firebats, he's going to break through. Firebats might just be the one saving grace of Royal here. He's got just barely the right threshold of these firebats to do enough DPS to actually kill these lurkers in individual setups. We need like 2 or 3 lurkers together to kill these firebats in time. Just one lurker under a dark swarm will easily die.
Looks like he's pushed everything back. Queen, though, he can sit back and just lurker defend. With stacks and overlords floating over top of them, he can get into a 4th base, potentially. It's just his economy is quite bad. It's not great. He does have this good sunken line. Oh, he gets a vessel. That's huge. Picking up that vessel right now is so important. That's going to slow down Royal in breaking any positions. So 4 lurkers, they're going to come over to this base. He has the Nidus Canal. He can transfer a couple of them over to that 3rd, stack them up, and that's going to take some time to break through. So it looks like Queen might just survive a little bit longer.
Right. It certainly does seem that way. Queen, what you doing, buddy? Queen, he's going to call your bluff. What are you doing, Queen? Oh, no, this is really weird by Queen. Like, there's only one lurker here on these 2 sunkens. This does not hold against this. If he wanted to, he could push the issue. Queen, though, it looks like... Get a massive plague on that clump! Maybe he was just baiting out the plague. I don't know. I think it's possible Queen was trying to bait him into an attack just to get a good plague off. I don't know, but that was crazy plague. Like, the amount of... I'm saying... He just killed all his own fire bats!
Oh my gosh, that is such a hilarious interaction. Such a rare occurrence that we see radiated racer trick science vessels killing the Terran units, but you know, crazy stuff happens in the KCM Shun. He's gonna continue to shove forward here. I still think that Royal's in a fantastic position, but as long as he keeps sniping vessels and the bases aren't broken, there's a possibility that Queen gets on a 4 bases. Double dropship is out, though. Royal's going to try and get in here and actually end this game, if possible, sooner rather than later. I think he's going to start to spread out. He's already taking a 3rd base. He can go into a 4th base. Queen has no chance of attacking. That is the main thing.
Right.
But will Royal try to dive in and just end this game, or is he going to sit back and try to get wide and, you know, way further ahead of Queen so that he can take care of him in the late game?
So you're going to try and go for a little bit of gambit with these 2 dropships. We have got a few packs of Scourge and Lings and a Defiler in position to deal with this. Does Queen react in time? The dropships unloading. The Scourge are not moving into position, so he is going to get the elevator into the main base. Now, oh, look at that huge plague, though! A lot of value. Some Scourge also snagging a vessel kill. Pretty good from Queen, but he needs to somehow clean up this Bioforce. Has got a few Lings that come in and do the damage to clear up some of them, but not all of them. So Queen has a lurker in position to defend this, but more and more infantry is going to be elevated up into it. It needs to come from the Nidus Canal. More Lings and Defiler coming in to support this, saying pretty good surround on these firebats. He does pick off the firebats. This is pretty good from Queen, but not enough. More and more units coming out these dropships. Another Dark Swarm coming out to kind of cover this area, but it doesn't matter. The Marines can just run around this and circumnavigate that technology and just come into and kill this hatchery now, Sam.
Oh, there was a great opportunity there for Queen. He could have split those 2 Scourge and killed both the dropships as they were flying in, but didn't quite control that perfectly. And another great plague here, absolute crusher of a plague, just going to bathe those Marines in the red goo, and they are going to get cleaned up so quickly. Unfortunately, though, after the hatchery has already died, and the lead is extending even further here for Royal as he takes another base in the top left.
Well, as a British person knows that, you know, kebab tastes best with chili sauce, and I'm sure consuming enough of these biomarines, eventually they consumed some of those British Marines and found out that fact and can't get enough of it after tasting that, saying, and maybe Queen can actually come back in this game saying, like, he's playing out of his mind right now. He did lose this hatchery, but has been playing pretty good, weathering the storm. If he can somehow keep the vessel count low, maybe he can turn this game around. He's still behind, though, in the game state. This is really suboptimal for Queen. Getting this 4th base back online slows him down so much, and he's going to be... I don't know if he's good. Actually, I don't know if he can actually hold on for much longer against Royal. He's going to be getting erased out of his mind. He still hasn't got Burrow. I don't know, saying this is getting a little bit dangerous.
That's a lot of drones that just went down. Something like 6 drones just fell.
Yeah.
There's a ton of SCVs being sent over to top left. It's very important right now that Royal doesn't get frustrated, because it's so hard to kill the Zerg in a time like this when they're just sitting back and defending with Defiler and Scourge and kind of denying everything. And Queen is doing a fantastic job of that. All Royal needs to do is just keep his composure, though. Keep on macroing, get into these other bases. There's really no way that Queen can attack into him. He's just gearing up for the late game slowly but surely. Royal just needs to keep his head on straight and keep the pressure on. He should be in a good position in this late game.
Yeah, no, he's in a winning position as of now. The problem is that the longer the game goes on, the more that Queen's win condition shoots up a little bit here. Has got some gas and ultras on the way soon. 2 Carapace upgrades already completed, so he's actually done a nice job of catching up in those upgrades. 2-1 for Royal right now. Should be finishing up the +3 not too long from now. 2 dropships coming into the natural on the bottom left quadrant of the map right now. Only a couple of lurkers against these sunken colonies, so if Queen doesn't react quickly, maybe a lot more drones could go down this bottom. The main thing, though, is he's going to want to dive onto this hatchery. Left 2 Marines to buy some time, and now diving onto this hatchery in the bottom, trying to get a snipe on this, but hopefully Queen's got enough units hatching out and coming from the Nida's Canal, cleans up both of those dropships nicely, and some things coming in to mop up on aisle 5 to make sure nothing crazy happens in this bottom. If Queen is going to get this 4th gas going, throwing down 2 additional macro hatcheries, and looking like he's going to be setting up quite nicely for this late game, so...
Already an insane game, and it looks like it's going to go on a bit longer. Royal going to begin producing battle cruisers soon, so this 4th gas is not going to come up a moment too soon. Really needs to get that gas up and running so that he can afford to produce the number of Scourge necessary to deal with all of these science vessels and also stop the battle cruisers while transitioning into ultras. It's a big ask, but it is the situation that a lot of Zergs find themselves in when they get behind in the early game. It's always a tough spot to fight back from. +3/+3 is almost done, and a D-Matrix Firebat is actually going to crush through here. Great Plague, but the Darkstorm is actually going to help the Marines to fight back against these Sunken Colonies. Sunken Colony cannot hit the Marine under the Darkstorm, so luckily he's got a few Lings in there. He's going to be able to push everything back. But it's still a very tight defense that we're seeing on screen right now. Royal almost breaking that bottom left. Queen just barely holding on once again. Finally going to have Ultralists out on the map, and some are heading over to top left. They don't have speed. They only have +5 armor. See if they can do any damage over here, but there is a bunker.
Yeah, Royal cut upgrades to try and finish the job, so he hasn't got his +3 weapons done, and already we have these +5 upgraded Ultralists with the chitinous plating. Really difficult now for Royal to target fire down these Ultralisks. You have to use Irradiate in situations like this to soften them up, but that also turns the Ultras into double-edged swords that can also slice through your clumps of infantry much easier as well. These cattle bruisers will be necessary in putting on more pressure onto the Zerg to be able to limit the gas income while this is all going on, because there's going to be so much chaos on the map now as streams of Ultras and Lings start raining down on the expansions and fortifications of Royal to try and disrupt the income flow on his side. He needs some kind of response to that. Look at this tactical Dark Swarm with 1 irradiated Ultra killing so many infantry. This is a beautiful manual move micro from Queen, utilizing just 1 single irradiated Ultra with just some manual move commands to clip as much infantry as possible. Great little trades here from Queen, getting the most efficiency of such few units possible.
You can see there Queen also clicking through all of the science vessels to see if he could find one that was already at half HP to get the max value out of those Scourge. I think he killed an extra science vessel because of that. Just really tenaciously careful with his play. and his micro, his control is just so accurate. He's going to be able to throw down a initial plague on these 2 battle cruisers that are coming in. Throw down another plague here as they start to fly away. That'll get them pretty darn low. Oh, and he's going to get the science vessel as well. That's very big. No, very importantly, no Dark Swarm over that natural mineral base, though. A lot of these drones are going to end up going down, and I don't see any Scourge here, but he's just funneling units over to the top left. This is not very good control from Queen, but he is going to break in towards the natural. This could be a big play that actually throws Royal off quite a lot. If he deals with the battle cruisers and throws a bunch of stuff up here into the main to just start hitting on all of these production facilities. Nice job cleaning that up. Really, really good job. And this is such a problem for Royal right now.
Oh, this is a big problem for Royal. Nice plague from Queen as well. Trying to get up the ramp with these Lings on some manual move commands. So far, Firebat's paying dividends and holding the line, but the Ultralisk is going to try and knock on the gates as well. One hatchery has been taken down, but Queen has a perfect setup right now with 6 o'clock already taken. Has that additional gas. Doing a good job of staying on top of things, dotting his I's, crossing his T's, making sure that Royal doesn't put on too much pressure, but he himself keeps the gas pedal pressed down and spends all of his own resources to keep throwing threats Royal's way to keep him kind of discombobulated in this game and apply more and more pressure to his economy as time wears on.
He's looking more and more discombobulated. Royal is just struggling to stop all these little breakthroughs all over the map from ending him. He's built a ton of Firebats to try and hold his natural with the Dark Swarm that was there, but they're not going to do very well against these Ultras. And he still doesn't have +3 attack done. He still doesn't have it, Shun. The battle cruisers are going to be able to help out a bit, but they really haven't gotten the value that they needed to this game. And Queen, I mean, he is just at 100 supply. However, he's getting on top of these bases and he's making life so difficult for Royal. I think Royal's about to break.
Yeah, he's had to lift up this command center. He's sacrificing this base. He has one more mining base, but he won't be able to defend that for long. He's going for a Hail Mary push on the 6 o'clock. Maybe somehow he can kill this expansion and get into this natural expansion, the bottom left quadrant, and open up the position and limit any resource income for Queen. But it's a bit of a gamble, It might pay off in killing this expansion at 6 o'clock, but I don't know how he's going to break the natural afterwards.
Yeah, he's probably going to finish off this 5th base. Queen is getting a little bit low on resource. 26 minutes in, by the way. Natural and main are definitely mined out of gas, but I think he's going to have the 3rd and 4th mining for still quite a long time. Ultra's coming down. Finally, 3-3 is done. The Marines, though, eat a massive plague. A lot of SCVs are falling, dropping below 100 supply now. Royal is on the edge. Can he stabilize? As Queen throws all of his army down to bottom center to try and clear that. A little counterattack making its way over to this natural.
I mean, this is kind of crazy from Queen. Like, we really did count him out when he was stuck on 2 bases. Now look at him. He's still doing cleanup on R5. Head of supply for the first time ever. This is absolute crazy performance from Queen to turn an almost down and out position after losing the 3rd base into a very calculated late game scenario where he also weathered the storm of Royal's basic mid game all in. Didn't even bother finishing up his +3 weapons for so long, just trying to kill Queen at all costs, but wasn't able to do so. And I'm really impressed by Queen's performance this game, Sam.
This reminds me, oh wow, actually before I get into that, we've got battle cruisers down here at the 3rd base. They're gonna go after the Nidus Canal immediately. There's not a lot of units over here. Okay, he's gonna probably get a plague on this. That'll be important. As soon as the plague goes down, he gets all 3 battle cruisers. That's massive. So he's actually gonna soften those up by a lot. And he's counterattacking right now. Yeah, I think the Queen's got this. This really reminds me of a game I casted this week, Shun, where it was actually Action versus Ride Sky, and he brought a game back from a position where he lost his 3rd base. It's just such a difficult thing to do. I would expect it, though, from a player of Action's caliber versus someone like Ride Sky, but the ability to do this against a player the caliber of Royal, that is another level altogether.
Yeah, and Royal was like full steam ahead, like cutting corners to put on a lot of pressure to Queen, so it is a very impressive performance indeed. Really stellar stuff from him. I'm really happy that we see Queen a little bit more on form and not choking as hard as someone like Jaedong has a little bit lately.
Absolutely. I mean, Queen was choking insanely hard in the previous couple of seasons of ASL. It was such a sad thing to witness, but I'm really glad that he is pulling himself together now, just in time for this new season of SSL. That's exactly what we want to see out of him. GG, Royal taps out, and Queen takes game number 1, a surprising comeback, and gets the golf clap from KCM. Finally, a Protoss player, Shun. The rarely seen.
Dying breed these days, it seems.
Protoss spawning down in the bottom left. YSC. He's been showing some good games, but he hasn't shown his face for a little while. In fact, all Protoss players have been MIA since the semifinals of last season.
Yeah.
And so, here on Eclipse, bringing this map back into the pool, what do you think about that, Sean?
I mean, I'm sure some Terran players, a few names in particular I won't mention, will be whining a little bit, you know, the Protoss players just sit in the arc kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, it's nice. I like this map. I like the double gas option in the top left, and then the 2 islands in the bottom right make for some very nice tactical split map late game play. Honestly, this map has a lot going for it. It's not a balanced map by any means. It's a little bit wonky on the matchup statistics, but it's nowhere near as unbalanced as people perceive it based on their own ladder performance. And this forward gateway signifies a little bit of aggression from YSC, but it's actually kind of common to open up gateway first on 1v1 maps where you can kind of, you know, control the game state a little bit more and get an early game guaranteed scout.
It's going to be able to block this hatchery for sure, force it over to a third base, and in a situation like that, the Zealot is going to be even more powerful. Just continuously pressuring this, and there are some really good spots to hide the Zealots. Yeah, go ahead.
I guess, like, sometimes you see, like, players even do like a double gate on this map for this reason, because they assume the other guy will just play like Queen's playing now and just take this hatchery at the third, and then the double gate comes in and gets like a very easy snipe on this situation and like abuses it even more. And yeah, on maps like this, it's not always comfortable just being forced to take your third. It doesn't even feel that good as a Zerg, right?
No, it doesn't feel very good to have to take your extra base. Oh my gosh, your third base. I'm gonna throw down the pylon. I don't exactly know why he did this, because you can just kill it with 4 lings pretty quickly. Pretty rare actually that we see Protoss players try to block the hatch like that, but if it was only 2 lings, I would have agreed with it. I just don't see many pro players block even when there's 2 lings and they can't kill the pylon before it finishes. But dropping it there, it's kind of a questionable decision by YSC. He delays the hatchery by about 10 seconds, maybe even a little bit less, and Queen is just going to throw that down pretty comfortably now, and he's killed the probe as well. Second Zealot's making its way forward. He sees that. He should know that he needs a few more lings here as the second Zealot comes in.
Yeah, most Zerg players generally try and like trickle on lings to slowly match the vigor of the Zealots over time. You don't want to make those lings too early on. You can just like make loads of lings early on, but then you kind of hurt your economy a little bit. So generally speaking, you try and add on like 2 at a time until you get up to the prerequisite. But sometimes they get you in situations like this where you can't limit the mobility of the Zealots, and they get into a position that's advantageous. And now if you deal with these 2 Zealots up here, then you've got another 2 Zealots running into your main base soon. So it's like a little bit of a weird situation where Queen has to maybe think, okay, I'm just going to sacrifice letting these 2 Zealots punch this hatchery because I need to go out and catch these additional Zealots that I know are on the way.
Oh, he doesn't know. He doesn't know that they're on the way. He's going to see what the drone though. That's pretty important. I don't know what that drone was doing out there, but maybe it was going for a scout.
100%.
And now he's going to come in to this natural. Is that a wall on the right-hand side of the gateway? It looks so open, but maybe it is actually a full a wall on that side, but I'm not 100% sure. He's going to slip by here. Oh my gosh, he's taking so much damage though. on these lings. A lot of these lings are badly bruised. They're gonna end up getting into that main base, though. I can't believe YSC not hitting the hatchery over at the third base. He should be dealing a ton of damage to that wall. The lings are rallying across the map, no?
I think he just can't handle the task switching against someone like Queen. He doesn't want to risk like lings leading them away or something later on. Like he just doesn't want to deal with it. Good rundown onto this cannon, though. Might be able to get this round. Pretty good probe block. Won't be able to deny enough damage onto that cannon, though. Unfortunately, YSC just barely not able to get the surround on that with his probes. Could have probably saved that. Now the gateway being targeted, and he's not really playing footsies with those lings trying to get out with the zealots. He's so distracted. He can't handle the pressure. This is how you beat a weaker player, just forcing so many interactions. They can't keep up with them, and they just start to fall apart. This is exactly how you should be playing against a weaker player. They just can't keep up with it.
Yeah, definitely YSC falling behind. He did something with those zealots. I think he's now finally attacking that hatchery, but it's so late. He's going to lose the cannon again. YSC gets a very good surround on a lot of these lings. There's a hatchery just about to go down, but the lings are they just keep coming here. And YSC is struggling to get this cannon up. He can't make any more zealots. There were moments when, zealots weren't fighting, when they were just standing in the main. They could have been blocking the ramp. They could have been doing all kinds of different things, but he just allowed the lings to run circles around him in this game. YSC has that next cannon on the way, but his probe count is so low now. He has to kill this hatchery, otherwise he's going to be light years behind.
Yeah, and he's not going to be able to do so. Queen just barely timed that out perfectly. But if somehow YSC was a better player, able to keep up the task switching, would have been able to easily kill that hatchery earlier on. Just knows that he couldn't keep up with the multitasking required to do so, and in then doing so, doesn't set himself up for the good position now. A few thrillings run by into the main base. If he's not paying attention, he might lose quite a lot. 3 speedlings can kill a really crazy amount of probes in a very short order. Even if you're paying a little bit of attention, you need to pay a lot of attention to not lose too many. Has got some zealots kind of zoning those out, but really nothing holding the line, and you can't really pay attention all the time to stop them keep dancing in and picking off individual probes, especially about zealot speed. There's just no way of even getting close to those lings. They'll just keep running circles around you like this, picking off the periphery probes over and over again. You can drill onto those probes with the lings, drill onto the lings with the probes, and then kill them that way, but it requires so much attention and detail to do so.
And Queen's not going to give him an opportunity like that. He's got enough lings out here at the front to kill any zealots that come out. He's transitioning now into the Spire. Looks like the Corsair is going to come out about the same time as that Spire is just about finished up. So there's probably just going to be Scourge ready and waiting for YSC's Corsair as it comes across the map. He has no idea what's going on with Queen right now, but Queen is just droning like crazy. He's actually ahead in supply now, and just the probe count alone is telling almost the full story. There's just almost no workers left. He's gonna get on top of these lings. I think he kills this now, but he lost another 2 probes. It's just dismal overall saturation in this main base, and look at how many drones Queen has managed to push out during this time.
The thing is that because YSC took enough economic damage, he now has to put himself further behind by making safety cannons, because he knows that he can't keep up with the curve of the game. So he's got at least 1 cannon in the main base. That throws him way more behind. That's the cost of 3 probes already. So this is going to be a rough game for YSC, because he's been playing on the back foot for quite some time. He might get like 1 Overlord kill as some kind of compensation here, but beyond that, I don't know what else he's going to have going for him for some time. Queen can choose to do pretty much anything as well. He can go either 3 gas Ogre Zerg or rush into Lurker Contain. There's so many options for Queen. He can just play a macro game and just play straight up and still be in a good position.
He's going to try and get behind this Corsair. He allows it to get up into the main base and then loops around with the Scourge. He's almost going to get this, and actually with the interception may just be able to get rid of that right now. There it is. He picks off the first Corsair. Now Ogre Zerg is just such a massive threat. YSC has to prepare for that, and we might not even see that type of play. He might just go into Hydras here and completely flip the script on YSC. YSC just pushing in with 4 Zealots. That's not going to be enough to beat all of these Lings, and with Mutas coming out, it's even telegraphing more that there's going to be an Ogre Zerg play, but again, it doesn't have to be that, and YSC is going to have to prepare for it more.
So you can kind of fake it of like just making like 5 Mutalisks and then a few Scourge, and then that kind of scares the bejesus out of the Protoss player, because as far as he knows, you could be making additional Mutas, but you can just stay on like 5 or so Mutas and just like snipe some probes and be a little bit annoying and threaten the Ogre Zerg and kind of fake it. Very similar to the sort of fake Hydra busts that you see, like 973 fakes into macro play. It's like a, you know, a mid-game fake out you can kind of now do to kind of scare and force cannons, and like you see here, like just run in, snipe a few probes, be really annoying, zone out with the Scourge, and then you've got a few free probe kills, you've got a connection with a Scourge, and you didn't really make a lot. You know, this is a great play from Queen. Could kind of do a lot with a little.
Yeah, and in the meantime, he's switching over to Hydralis. This play, just building a few mutas and kind of scaring the Protoss player is great. Even in a regular game where nobody has a lead, but with a lead as well, it just makes things so much harder for the Protoss player. He's got to prepare for that Ogre Zerg play, and he has to prepare for Hydralis. He just doesn't have the money to really do either.
Yeah, and this is exactly what Queen should be doing, just like rotating around, coming in, sniping a couple of gas probes, running out again. He can't really leave his base until he has at least 6 or 7 Corsairs of +1, because he knows there could be a flood of Scourge that just jump him at any moment, so he has to keep his fleet as strong as possible. But this obviously just gives plenty of time. He's even making additional cannons. This is crazy right now. Like, YSC is like eons behind right now. Like, he's playing in the beta version of the Matrix when Queen's playing in like the 3rd iteration.
The beta version of the Matrix where everything was perfect, and the humans rejected it because it was too perfect. That was one of the first versions. No, that's not this world. YSC is living in the hell world of the Matrix, where everything is terrible and there's no way to win because the Zerg player is already light years ahead. 93 supply to 75. This is going to be a dumpster fire if YSC tries to push out, and I don't even think he's going to have a chance to push out here. Queen's just going to come across the map, park out in front of his base, and probably start making lurkers.
Yeah, I think there actually was a hell version of the Matrix, right? Where like the weird characters from the second film were from, like the ones that you needed a silver bullet to kill, and the ghost guys and stuff. I think they were from like the evil version of the Matrix.
Okay, we're getting a little deep in the lore of the Matrix here for a StarCraft cast, but I'm gonna roll with it. We're here now with the Hydras out in front, baiting out storms, taking a little damage, but all of those Hydras can be made into lurkers here in a moment anyway. So just getting rid of some of that energy gonna pay off for Queen as he starts to create his containment force.
Yeah, can I just point out that it's really hard to get the Hydras to be at perfect vertical range to actually outrange the cannons in a game like this, because you don't want to pay too much attention to it. So the fact that he's actually bothering to put his Hydras into like harassing range to force him to come out with the Zealots is really cute. Like, this is like, you don't want to have to do this as Zerg, to like manually like shuffle these Hydras forward ever so slightly to get into range of the Forge. It's really annoying to do as a Zerg, as you can see he's trying to do now.
Absolutely, and you're macroing off of 6 hatches and getting your 4th base online. Like that's a little bit too much for most Zerg players on the ladder. That's for sure. That's too much for me. That's too much for Shun. Only players at this caliber can actually pull something like that off, and Queen is doing it with style. He's bringing the lurkers up now, and he's going to set up this containment. This containment is probably going to be deadly, but we're going to give YSC a chance here. Let's see if he can break out with some Dragoons once he gets this observatory going and has some vision on these units.
I mean, he needs a lot of Dragoons and a lot of Storm, and we've got a few Storm and a few Dragoons, so yeah, this is going to be a little bit dicey, guys, to say the least. I mean, Queen does kind of have to botch his micro for this to even work. He's even going to be killing his own cannons to be able to move out right now. There's a pretty good kill box minefield of lurkers, a massive flood. He's even going to start the Sunken Contain, saying this is getting wild now. We're going to start making Sunkens and Spores to make this contain even more unbreakable.
The Manor Hatchery. No, it's not just for you know, Naga purposes. It's actually to get some sunken colonies out here in the front to just make this more unbeatable. And yeah, he's gonna bring some drones up and start building those. Not something you can generally do. You don't see it very often, but in a game state like this, like, why not do that? As the like, give me a reason why not to build that, because there's like, yeah.
There's actually a totally valid way of playing, providing you're already ahead and you're containing him and don't want to like risk losing the game by like attacking into a choke or something. So it's a way of like reconsolidating your lead while you're containing. It's actually totally valid as long as you're already ahead.
And he is very far ahead and getting further ahead as we speak. There should be a hive on the way as well, I imagine. You don't have to go for hive if you have this contain. You just keep the Protoss player on 2 bases. That's going to be fine. You don't actually need hive to beat Protoss in this situation, but getting the hive is like the kill. It's another kill move, right? If you get the Defiler to the front and drop a Dark Swarm, it game's over. Dragons are never going to break up.
You force them to play like refugee Protoss where they have to like go double robo, start speed shuttling around the map and taking islands, and it's way easier to deal with Protoss doing that than it is a Protoss just expanding normally and playing a straight up game. So you kind of simplify the game state at the very least. The Protoss player usually wants to go around this, not through this.
Absolutely. Great storm there, just getting rid of all the mutas, but I mean all those mutas are just going to be replaced here by lurkers, I imagine. He's freeing up some supply at this point. Coming forward with just a few Hydras to just poke. Does need to bring a few more Hydras out as the Dragons start to hit these lurkers. You don't want to just allow the Dragons some free shots. You can now see the creep, and he can even see the creep colonies that are being morphed. And he knows that he doesn't have a lot of time left. YSC, if these sunken colonies all finish, then he is absolutely cooked. So he's just going to push through as best he can, try to break this position, but that is just so much stuff, Shun. Oh my god, it's so much stuff. And almost all the Dragons are gone.
And it's just far back enough that it's really hard to attack into. If you notice, like, where the line of Dragoons are stopping, there's like a perfect surface area for the Hydras to wrap around and make a beautiful arc to get maximum DPS as well. Really nice setup. GG finally called. Wow, really impressive showing from Queen. I mean, obviously finishing that game was easy, but the way he played against Royal was really special, and he made that look easy against YC.
Yeah, getting the Lings in there. And then just kind of out multitasking YSC. It'll make him think twice about going Gateway first in another game versus Queen, that's for sure. Well, this is a game that I've been looking forward to. Speed versus Queen. With Queen's current performance and the way that Speed's been evolving and just growing like crazy, I think this is going to be a great match, and maybe the best match of the night. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, potentially this could be an epic game. I mean, Speed's been playing out of his mind as of late, and Queen is obviously on a little bit of a rampage himself and has been playing absolutely on form. We could have fireworks here, and cross-map on a very powerful macro map that we've yet to see fully explored.
Absolutely. This is an interesting map. It feels like one of the more standard maps that we've gotten in the modern era. They've been getting better and better at just popping out nice standard maps, 4-player maps with a little bit of a twist each time, which makes things interesting. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I like this call to squeezing up this third natural to the main base, like on polypoids, where your interactions from the main base to the third base. It allows for some interesting play from both sides, both defensively and offensively, and kind of gives you some kind of a little bit of spice to the macro, you know what I mean? Like, it's an economic centric map, but there's a little bit of spice in there.
That's an interesting base to have. It just kind of reminds me of polypoid and having you know, the game go incredibly long where you split the map and everybody mines out, and you just know as a Zerg player you're never going to mine that base on the Protoss side of the map. You know what I mean? They're always just gonna storm you on your workers, even if that's the last base in the entire map. You can never mine that one, but same thing goes here. That base is just so accessible for both Terran and Protoss. Just you know, hitting with tanks or throwing storms over that wall. It's an interesting dynamic to add to this map.
Right. Definitely does make for some interesting trench lines to be drawn on the map in the late game for sure. And the wall in on here kind of allows Terran to get away with murder. You get pretty much a perfect wall in here for free almost. And yeah, it's not much you can do about it, as you kind of just have to let Terran get away with a little bit of cost efficiency here. They can choose to cut Marines and, you know, optimize their build order and min-max their timings a little bit.
I think the one nice thing though about the wall being put together with these eggs is that you could, I think, see the mineral patch to go through the egg there with the drone, right?
Oh, can you? Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
I
you
so.
could.
And then once you get the drone into the main, you can go and check for the gas, and then mineral walk back out, right? On some of these maps where there's a perfect wall, if you get your drone in, then, or your probe in, whatever, you just can't get it out. It's just stuck there because the wall is just going to completely trap you. So it's interesting. It's an interesting dynamic here. He's trying to get past, or just take a look and see if he can see that CC. Can't really get the confirmation on that, but
I think he has to bump bellies with the egg before he can see the minerals. So he has to kind of commit right in there to see if he can actually slide over. But early game, you could maybe slide a scout in easier.
And definitely you can slide that scout out, so it's not a sacrificial worker if you run past that wall. And I think that's maybe the purpose of the egg wall rather than just a regular wall setup. Also, you can of course kill the eggs and open it up a little bit later on, but I digress. We've got the build being revealed here for Speed. He's gonna go for an early +1 into the academy before throwing down any extra racks and backing home for Queen. He's going into a 2.5 hatch. All of that's been revealed to Speed though. He knows exactly what the build is here for Queen. Queen not 100% sure what's actually happening right now for Speed.
Right. Yeah, but once upon a time this guy used to be called Zero and he would go for like 2 hatchery builds all the time. Nowadays, you know, he's called Queen and he likes to go for 2.5 hatcheries way more often than that really fast 2 hatch timing. He used to be even the kind of guy that would go 12 pull into 2 hatch muter, like really aggressive muter back in the day, like sort of Heartbreak Ridge kind of era. Yeah, you don't usually see this guy go for that style very often, but it does mean that he's got a wider range of play. Like the way how aggressive he is with his muters and stuff, like makes him a little bit more of an ambitious macro player than usual. Similar to Action, like he's a macro player, but he's an aggressive macro player.
Yeah, we kind of saw a little bit of that old Zero style show through in game number 1 against Royal, right? He went pretty low economy to hatchery initially to try and get some damage. It didn't really work well for him though, so he's kind of switching back into more of a macro-centric style to go up against Speed. And Speed is transitioning into 4 racks with the early +1, so this is a little bit it's kind of the same idea as what we saw from Royal, but it's a little bit more powerful, right? Just the only thing is that you're going to be kind of weak as the mutas come in because you won't have range right off the bat. You're going to have that +1 a little bit later when both those upgrades finish. You're going to have that big power spike, but it's not like the 3 racks with the fast academy where you're going to have a lot of Marines and medics very quickly, and then the range and stim right as the mutas arrive.
So when you're playing against someone like Queen, that does mean they can abuse you with those muters for a few extra seconds and maybe snipe off too many Marines than you're happy with. Usually Zerg players, if they can identify you haven't got range yet, they're very adept at, you know, abusing the maximum range of the mutalist triangle angles to snipe off your Marines without taking too much incoming damage and doing so. And that's what micro is. It's the art of doing the most amount of damage while taking the least amount of damage possible.
Coming in now to this main, I believe there's 7 mutas in the stack, so 1 hit capable. He'll fly directly in here to the mineral line, gets the first SCV, kind of whiffs on the 2nd and 3rd shot. 4th shot not really working out too well either. He gets 2 more SCVs, 3 more. Could have gotten quite a bit more though. He's actually missing quite a few hits, and even that last SCV on the way out doesn't get the full volley, so ends up losing a muta and only gets about 3 to 4 SCVs. Not the best showing here for Queen so far. Speed gets a little bit lucky in that. Queen could have gotten like 7, 8 SCVs by now had he been on the ball there with his control.
Right. Yeah, I do like the tactical snipe of the turret with the links, but certainly could have gotten way more SCV kills there. You're supposed to be doing manual move commands onto those SCVs and then lining up the shot and getting all of them to fire at once. But if you make one small misclick or do a not so frame perfect input sequence, then you're going to have issues, and not all of the mutas are going to fire at once. Only like 5 or 6 will shoot, and the SCV won't die. And unfortunately, that means now Speed is in a way better position than he should be in. Now he's applying so much pressure to Queen and didn't take any economic damage besides like a couple of SCVs.
Yeah, he's got the 7-minute factory on the way, so a little bit slower of a transition. We'll see when Queen feels comfortable to transition into that Hydralisk Den, because this is quite a threatening Marine force that's out on the map. That's a lot of Lings, though. Let's see if he can surround this and kill it. Only 3 medics in the group, and he's forced out a few stims. Looking to snipe a few Marines before he fully commits here. Doesn't want to lose too much in clearing this. And he's looking to just force a little bit more. Here we go.
Oh, big surround from both sides. Big, massive pincer maneuver. Does get some good target fire on some of those mutas, but it doesn't matter. The cleanup is so good for Queen right now. Killing all of that Bioforce. He doesn't actually kill the medics before they rejoin with the Marines, though. Really great play from Speed to come in here and save the lives of those precious medics. It's just so much easier not having to make a macro round of medics right now and just keep the train of Marines pumping out and keeping your DPS potential alive right now. Not the worst trade for Speed either. He did snipe about 6 or so mutas with manual target firing while getting cleaned up there, so has kind of reset the map control of Queen, but that was still a nice cleanup for the Zerg.
Yeah, so important to shut down that first bio group. The second bio group is looking just as scary, though, with even more medics in the mix, because he managed to save those initial medics. He's got some energy built up, and this army's going to have a lot more staying power as it moves forward. He even kills an Overlord, but doesn't supply block Queen for the time being. Should be able to get a couple Hydras out here in a moment and put some lurkers on that high ground. He did decide to take to put these put this extra hatchery on the high ground, which is not really typical anymore. A lot of players will go for the natural, but instead going for that high ground. They're gonna get this lurker going as the Hydra pops out. He almost managed to snipe that. He has to hold this from the high ground. This is just gonna come down to micro with from Queen, and blocking these Marines from coming up this ramp is gonna be his top priority.
It is a very tight choke though to get in there. Only like a sort of 2x2 sequence. Very hard to get in there indeed, but it does get one lurker in position. Just starting to spill over the edge though. His cup do runneth over, but not quite enough, unfortunately. Saying does manage to get the tactical snipe on that lurker, but enough of the Marines have been killed that now this should be an okay position, unless he can somehow get more and more units over here to reinforce. As these mutas trickle in, I think he should be able to clean up these forces.
Yeah, it's looking like Queen is going to hold, and he's trying not to throw away too many mutas by when he cleans this up. He would like for the Marines to actually engage with the lurker first, and then he can take a really nice trade. He's going to run forward with the lurkers now. If he loses too many lurkers, though, trying to dive on this, then more Marines will spill up into this base. Uh-oh, more Marines have arrived. Lurkers coming forward, but they're not going to really be able to get in range of this. More reinforcements coming up. It's still Speed putting a lot of pressure on, and Queen might be faltering a little bit as he's been supply blocked for quite some time. Running forward, gonna be able to snipe a couple of these Hydras. Okay, I thought he was gonna get both, but he only gets the one. Lings coming from behind, lurkers running forward, trying to target down some of these mutas, but everything's gonna die, including all these medics, which is quite a lot of the healing power of Speed's army.
Yeah, I actually feel like Queen was in control most of the time there after the initial cleanup. He's doing a very good job right now, saying, and still even on supply as well. This is kind of looking better and better for him as time goes on. Speed was hoping for a lot more compensation for his efforts there, not necessarily needing the hatchery kill, but maybe a few drone kills or something to kind of like level out the situation and make the failed attack at least not too bad. But honestly, this is pretty ideal for Queen. He didn't really take too much damage anywhere. Like this is almost ideal conditions for him going forward into this mid game now.
It's going to be up to Speed to try and even the odds. I imagine we're going to see a bunch of dropships pop out soon, but when will he add those on? It's up to Queen to figure that out and make sure that he has Scourge in place everywhere to defend those drops as they come in. I don't see a single medic with that giant group of Marines. And that is such a massive force, but with almost no healing power, how can they really break through anywhere? It's just a stack of lurkers up on that high
party you want
ground.
to show up to, Sen. You don't want to show up to a party where there's like 40 dudes and one girl. It's a weird vibe.
Absolutely. I think it's time to head back home, pick up some more ladies, because Speed's army is just going to get wiped if he tries to break any position and ends up stimming more than once. It's just going to melt his army. Jumping forward here, trying to maybe look for a science vessel. That's actually quite a bit of energy available on these science vessels now, so really important that he keeps those alive and gets the value out of them. But where is he going to attack into? I want to see the tactics of Speed, the Speed tactics. Can he actually find a way to distract Queen enough and get in there with some dropships and break a position? That's what I'm looking to.
Yeah, he needs to somehow like throw a few jabs to kind of blindside Queen before he sets himself up for the future combos that are actually going to do the damage. But I don't see any way he's going to get that.
I bet he's Firebat D-Matrix. Yeah, Firebat D-Matrix. Here we go. 4 Firebats D-Matrix. There's a big stack of lurkers, but that doesn't work against Firebats. With that D-Matrix, they're just going to run up here. Everything's forced to unburrow. Oh my gosh, he's managed to pull back just in the nick of time. He gets a Dark Swarm down. Firebats are going to try to push through this, but I don't think they can survive long enough. Just with the D-Matrix, yeah, those are going to go down. Scourge are going to come forward and kill some of these science vessels, and the Lings will come forward and clean that up. That was a really close call for Queen. Had he waited for a couple more seconds before unburrowing there, Speed would have killed every lurker in that stack.
Well, absolutely, Sen. And he did get the tactical snipe on that Nidus Canal, so there is still problems to deal with. Trying to keep these drones alive. Good Dark Swarm there, protecting the pack of workers. He's trying to shuffle around, now going to target this hatchery. Maybe he can kill it just before the lurkers get in position, but not able to do so. Unfortunately, won't be able to get too much more additional value out of these units. Really clutch play from Queen to shuffle back those 4 lurkers. They were guaranteed to die. What a response from this guy.
That was really quick reaction time. Speed was looking to bust that wide open. As soon as you see the 4 Firebats, if you can get vision on that, you know what's coming. So,
right.
I mean, you don't get a lot of forewarning, but he had just barely enough to be able to unburrow there and run back. I was scared that they were going to dance on top of each other for too long, and the Firebats were going to get the kills anyway, but luckily they were able to pull back. Yeah, for sure. That's happened to me too.
Sometimes they just get stuck, and there's no amount of clicking that's saving them, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the back. That is the downside of stacking your lurkers. Like, every strategy in Brood War has a downside, right? Oh my god, what a plague! Plague! Ooh, my goodness.
Oh my god. That's a lot of chili sauce on the kebab right there, saying that's going to be really tasty to snag them up. Now he's got to be thinking about maybe making a single Mutalisk to snipe those later on, surely. That's some easy pickings. He's got Hydras with speed, actually. He can do that just easy on the ground.
He's going to be looking for it, for sure. Don't come forward with those science vessels. Time to send those home, actually. Send those science vessels home. Get some repairs going.
A little tickle repair, yeah.
You would hate to see, 6 vessels go down all in rapid succession. The mutas are coming forward. He's looking to dive on that.
He was thinking about it.
Screen. It doesn't end up losing those. That's a lot of lurkers over there in top right. Should be able to hold that position, no problem. And he's going to continue to threaten the kill on these vessels. So breaking that position top right is going to be a tall order. Very hard ask for Speed to be able to do that. Every time he comes forward, it's like risking the lives of all of his vessels, especially with Hydras here, ready to dive forward. Yeah, just like that. Immediately going to lose a vessel just for a couple of radiates. It's hardly worth it.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, like how much value is in those vessels and how quickly they die. It's kind of always mind-boggling. It really does speak to the glass cannon nature of this matchup. It's insane how back and forth it goes and how quickly the units die until like Ultralisks or like Mech is out. even then the armies can still get obliterated in seconds. While does manage to start getting some pretty good kills. Additional negligible play, doesn't really get anything done, trying to hope to get the new vessels, but instead got the old ones. But there's just barely enough meat, actually. He can just surge on forward, kills the infantry, and still gets quite a few of these snipes on the vessels, saying there is quite a large infantry force moving up to the natural expansion in the top right quadrant, but it's not going to be enough to break through. There's already the lurkers waiting here with Defiler support.
Yeah, Queen is locked down everywhere. He's going to go for another plague. He gets some good value. Hydras are going to be cleaned up, and the third base will stay alive for now. But the problem is not that, you know, Speed's losing bases. The problem is he's just being forced back. He's not holding that map control anymore. And this is a time in the game when Terran should have map control. They should be out here kind of camping out in front of the bases, laying down lots of plagues and just slowing down the Zerg. Queen is not being slowed down at all. He is just cranking away, and he's putting pressure onto the Terran now already. We're only 17 minutes in. This is a bad situation, but Speed is going to try and even things out, even the odds, with a lot of tanks coming out of his main. Now, double factory tank production. He's probably going to be getting +1 on those tanks as well, and just banking on getting a huge number of tanks going so that there's just no way for Queen to really approach his army.
Yeah, it does allow him to, like, you know, still lay siege to the Zerg, but the problem is that until you have a mass amount of those tanks, the Zerg can still just run over you. So in a way, they just keep you alive in the mid game going into the late game state, and they don't really do much until you've got, like, say 2 control groups of them. Then you can start to obliterate things underneath Dark Swarms even, so it doesn't really matter once they've got loads of Lings and Ultralisks flooding at you under Dark Swarm. But until that time, you're kind of relying on more like tactical play. And like you see here, Queen is going to come and attack this weaker position on the bottom left side, where there's only just 1 or 2 tanks and a small group of bio, and now he's got to pull back all his vessels, and it just slows everything down and makes it very easy for Queen to come in here and do a lot with a little.
Ooh, some vessels are going to go down as well. 1 or 2 of those were hit with a plague earlier, and this bunker is going to end up falling. The Hydras really can't do anything underneath this Darkstorm, but 1 Ling is going to clean up everything, and Speed is having to deal with a lot of fires out on the map. More forces slowly being sent down to center left, and Queen is just going to break that position wide open. Speed is now back onto 3 bases, and he's just struggling on the back foot. He's so far on the back foot, he's about to fall off the cliff, I think, Shun.
Yeah, this is kind of wild. Like, he can't quite keep all the plates spinning. Even going to be getting loose. Dropship snipe maybe to the Scourge. Only a few Marines get out. Only a singular drone getting sniped there for his compensation. Not going to be enough. And maybe even getting the kill on this CC if the Hydras are target firing that down enough. He gets the CC. This is wild. He can't even retake his 4th now. And surging forward on this middle upper area, not going to be too ideal for Speed either, getting more and more of these tanks sniped. He will never build up a tank count to combat Queen at this rate.
Yeah, that's the big fear, right? If you just keep losing tanks over and over again, are you ever going to hit that critical mass? You really need those 4 bases as well to have the gas to keep making double science vessel and also add on the tanks as well. A lot of mutas here. 1 irradiate goes down, but it was on a low HP one. That's unfortunate. It really doesn't get any value out of that irradiate, and just things are going so badly for Speed. I think he is moments away from tapping out. Another attack from Queen coming into this north side. This is really the only base that matters right now for Speed. His natural main are about to run out, so if he loses control over this base, he's just gonna have no income at all, and Queen will completely overwhelm him.
I mean, Speed is hitting more and more bumps as time goes on, saying this is not looking ideal. I don't know how he can keep the speed above 60 kilometers an hour. Eventually, he will slow down and the bus will go boom. This is not looking ideal. Has got a pretty large force in the bottom right quadrant that's trying to go to battle with Queen, but there's just too much Zerg pouring out of these macro hatcheries. Dark Swarm is making pretty much everything invincible with that orange Cheeto dust of death. I don't know how you're supposed to break through it as Terran. The only thing I can see working is like a like a gambit play with those fire bats, like D-Matrix fire bats trying to break through underneath Dark Swarm. Maybe like 12 fire bats with like mass D-Matrix, something like that could maybe have a chance of breaking through here. But beyond that, I don't see what. Look, all these SCVs dying to the lurkers. About 19 kills of one of those lurkers really kind of tells the story here.
Yeah, that was the backbone of the Terran. All of the SCVs go down. The economy is just in shambles. He's pushing in with this one army that is looking quite formidable with the number of tanks that are mixed in here and this many science vessels flying overhead, irradiating everything. It's tough to break, but getting right up on top of this, somehow Queen gets a Dark Storm in the middle of all these tanks, and a bunch of lurkers get under there, burrowing. Oh my gosh, all those SCVs have to turn around. GG is called, and Speed taps out. Queen is on absolute fire today. This is some stellar performance. Speed is not someone to be taken lightly, but Queen handled him even better than he handled Royal, not taking some massive damage in the early game. Tyson is our next player going up against Queen. It's going to be a tough task to bring Protoss back in this week of the KCM. Queen is on such a massive rampage, and we're here on one of our new maps. I believe this is called Metropolis.
Yeah.
And
it's
so,
the most drop friendly map we've got, right?
Right. This is the one with the boomerang-shaped main base. It's going to be tough to defend drops, as well as mutas flying in between the main and natural as well.
Yeah, and we haven't seen a lot of games on these maps yet, guys, but we'll become more and more familiar with them, as you will be shortly, as we see such great games played on them. It's one thing us figuring out how to play these maps. It's another thing watching the pros do it and the solutions they come up with to how to navigate on these maps. And we might see some very interesting shenanigans or just some adjustments to the mid-game or their build orders to, abuse the map and the geometry a little bit more.
I don't think I've seen PvZ on this map yet.
I don't think so either.
I think we saw ZVT here.
Yes, we did. Jaedong versus was it? I can't remember who it was against, but yeah, we saw Jaedong against Terran on this map, right?
I think it was Light. But,
I think it was Light as well, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, Light went on a rampage last week.
I was thinking Light, but I wasn't 100% sure, so I didn't say it.
And so it's going to be interesting to see how Protoss versus Zerg pans out. It's very tight natural for the Protoss to defend, especially this natural down in bottom right. It's a vertical natural, and so busting that is going to be pretty darn tough. As a Zerg player, getting in there is going to be a hard ass. So, Queen not the type of person who usually does bust anyway, but I think it's even less likely on this map in this position.
But sometimes that can play to your advantage. Like, say you can get away with a run by because they assume you just won't go for it because it's like, it's so bad it becomes good, like it becomes unexpected. Sometimes you can do mind games using that to your advantage. They just expect you won't try and do a strategy because of that reason, and then the strategy works because it's unoptimal because they assume you just won't go for it.
Right. Yeah, if you are personality-wise not the type of person to do that, it might be a good idea to bust that out in a tournament. Maybe this is not the tournament to do that, though. And we want to save that for SSL.
Ooh, look at this. Great job catching the Zealot.
That Zealot's taking a lot of damage. I thought we would see him put the Zealot in between those mineral patches at the natural. Although you can run all the way around and hit that from the back. It's kind of a tricky spot.
I think unless you get into the spot between the gas and the minerals, there's no real good spot to stand in. You're still going to get 4-on-1 action either way, at the very least.
Ooh, the probe goes down out of the map. That's frustrating. You won't know how many more lings are being made for quite a long time unless he pushes out with Zealots. May end up just waiting for his Corsair to come out to actually get a scout, see what's happening. I'm curious if he's going to throw down the cannon right next to the wall, or is he going to put it back further? He's actually going to put it right next to the wall. That's very snipeable.
Oh yeah. If I'm playing, like, I so want to like go like speed hydras with mass lings and like just a few hydras to snipe the cannons and the flood of lings to come back and just like snipe all the probes and the zealots, because once you snipe the cannons at the front, you don't even need range upgrade, you know, you just run the hydras up to the wall and snipe it with like 4 or 5 hydras and then run in with the lings.
Very, very bustable spot we're seeing. I'm gonna have to pull that zealot back. It's no good having 3 lings hitting that, so he's gonna get it back and make sure that he can hold this wall as the cannon finishes up. We won't see any more aggression from Queen. He's just gonna sit here, build a few more lings to deal with these zealots, and mostly pump drones as he gets into his spire. This is turning into more of a standard game. This is a game that you can see at any time in the past, really in the past 10 years. This is kind of the way it's been going for a long time. So we're going to see these two players in a kind of standard macro matchup, how they're going to fare against each other. I think Queen has the edge, but Tyson could show us something interesting.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Tyson have some rather phenomenal punching power in previous weeks, but so far, Queen is dealing with him handily. You see how efficient these Zealot squads are getting cleaned up by Queen. It's kind of wild to see. He's now going to go into full macro mode, making round after round of drones. But yeah, the sort of 3-base Spire into 5-6 Hatch Hydra play has been like the staple for so long now. It's been like the kind of the middle road of dealing with Protoss and giving you the most tools at every junction in the game to both kind of weather the storm so you don't lose too much to, like, say, Corsair harassment or whatever, so you've got just barely the right Spire timing to not take any significant damage, while also having a full range of potential play. You can go from Ogre Zerg full-on aggression mode to full-on macro mode, whatever you want in between. So it gives the range of play, the full range of motion to the Zerg player going into that mid-game, which is why it's been such a staple.
Queen's got all the options open to him now. We will be starting some Scourge here soon. One Overlord's been found, and second Corsair is heading out on the map to look for more victims, more snipes to be had. Is this... Oh, this Overlord is about to go down. That's so close. It's got like 1 or 2 hits left on it.
Yeah.
But he's not willing to stick around and try to get those shots when losing that first Corsair could be so painful. He's going to actually fly in with the second Corsair and try to get this kill. But no, the Scourge are there. Oh, and he loses that. That was a risky play from Tyson. You kind of need to take risks when you're a little bit behind, but that risk doesn't pay off, and now he's got even more of a deficit to deal with. He has to worry about Ogre Zerg play being a real threat now, because losing those early Corsairs just opens up such an opportunity to overwhelm with Scourge and Mutas. So we're gonna have to see.
He's got a...
Go ahead.
I was gonna say he's got a very hopeful DT that's gonna try and make its way in, and he's now revealed that to Queen. So any chance of sneaking that in has now gone down the drain now that Queen is aware of that being there. So he's gonna try and sacrifice it and kill a drone or two. Not gonna be able to get out. Really unfortunate for him. Might get to get a snipe on this Sunken though. Weakening this formation is nice, but it doesn't really accomplish much if we're behind. This is a great kind of play if you're opening up the position for further assaults later on, but in this kind of game state where Queen's already ahead and has map control, it doesn't really accomplish much sniping a Sunken like that.
No, for sure not. That's so many mutas, by the way. That is a huge amount of mutas. He can fly in here and kill every Templar if he wants. That, or you could go for the main. There's a Templar out in the back here. That could throw down a really massive storm, but he's going to go for it immediately. Just going to go ahead and snipe that Templar, and the Corsairs have gotten to such a low number that one snipe with the 2 Scourge. Now there's just 2 left. Those both go down. There's another pair of Scourge. Oh, the storm though. Ooh, that storm did so much damage. But I mean, is it going to be enough? I don't know if he can take control of his main again here soon. He's losing so many probes, and he can definitely stop that cannon from being built. Scourge come out, kill that next Corsair. This cannon's never going to finish.
The problem is that it's Queen and he's confident with his Mutalist micro. If this was a few other Zergs, maybe they wouldn't, like, you know, snipe as many probes or, like, be as confident dancing around. He just got a little bit too much damage done with this maneuver, but he will survive. Tyson's still technically alive in this game. It's just, I don't know how he's going to muster the resources to invest in the mid-game move-out that he needs to do so. He is not mining right now efficiently at all and needs to pump and produce on all cylinders to produce an army that's capable of moving out at 11 to 12 minutes, and he's not able to do so. He's barely trickling in gas. I don't even know how he's going to get up to 6 Templars. This is getting wild.
More mutas have been made. More snipes are possible. I think we're going to see Lurker upgrade come in, and I think the YSC battle is going to repeat itself. The series of events that we saw earlier. I don't know if we're going to get another hatchery out in front. I'm not sure he's that far ahead, but the lead is significant. Queen is definitely going to have Lurker out before Tyson is really ready to push out and do anything out on this map.
And can I just point out how genius Queen is? He knows that Tyson is trying to be smart by, like, cutting corners and only producing Dragoons and Templars to try and stabilize the game state. Queen knows that, so he's gone back into pumping pure Muta, because he knows that Mutas beat Dragoons straight up no matter what. So there's nothing that Tyson can really do to, like, settle the game state and balance the scales right now. It means that he has to invest in anti-Muta defense, which he can't. He's gonna have to just try and make a gamble out on the map, and that means he can just run in and snipe his High Templars almost for free.
Yeah, here he comes, sniping High Templar before they even get a single storm off. And now that utility is gone from the army, we've just got slow zealots and a few dragoons. He could just build Lings and kill all of this shit. Lings is gonna be enough. Ling and Muta will stop this, and Tyson is gonna fall flat. Oh, I mean, he's even got lurkers here. There's not even a robo. There's no robo. Man. Oh, it's my crazy. Goodness.
He's ahead in every metric. It's really wild to see. Like, you usually don't see some players dominate this convincingly. Like, obviously Tyson's behind and should lose the game, but Queen is making it look like almost like a jazz musician. You know, like, there's a lot of finesse to the way he's ending this game.
Oh, some more Templar come out and they immediately get sniped. This is a brutal takedown of a stellar player, really. Tyson is a very good Protoss. It's making him look like an absolute amateur, though. This is just Queen today, doing so with basically everybody in the lineup. Can he do the same thing to Light and Mini as well, and take the win home for the Zerg without Hero or Jaedong having to make a showing? We're gonna find out here. That's coming up next. It's a sunny day, with nice weather where Queen is at the moment. He's just loving the rays that are shining down on him as he, like a walk in the park, just runs through all of these players in a lineup so far. But a storm is coming. Clouds are brewing. Light is here, and he may just upset this bright and sunny day that Queen has been enjoying so far.
Well, it might be a bright and sunny day for Queen, but I can't imagine it's a bright and sunny day for his enemies. It reminds me of that Meet the Pyro video from Team Fortress 2, where he's, like, you know, seeing sunshine and rainbows, and everyone else is, like, seeing their guts, like, you know, flying around.
Never played Team Fortress 2, but I'm sure someone out there appreciates the reference.
I know they do.
We've got ZVT on Dominator, which is an interesting map. Specifically, Light spawning in the center right is actually quite good for him. He can set up a pretty good defense with his turrets. There's not a big spot for Queen to send his mutas to kind of harass. Like, bottom left is really tough to defend against mutas. It's just very lucky for Light that he didn't spawn in that location. You see the big kind of neutral ground or open ground at the bottom left that's behind both mineral patches. Just makes it so hard to place turrets properly. But here, He will be able to get turrets set up in the appropriate positions. A lot of damage though. Wow, look at all the damage you put onto this early Marine. That's crazy.
Yeah,
How many
great.
hits was that?
That's that was 5 hits. You can usually get 2 hits no matter what, but the problem is getting any more than that because he had the high ground to low ground advantage. If you body block the Marine and keep shooting it, there's a small chance that he keeps missing his shots and you get more and more spine hits on the Marines. We got it all the way down to 15 HP, so just 3 hits away from killing that until medics are out will make the early game trades much more queen-sided, so any kind of aggression is out the window really. Now Light's also going to be feeling a little bit scared because this Marine is 5 hits away from dying quicker, so you know his position can fall apart much quicker than usual, so you kind of want to just like, you know, make a wall, either maybe make him a bunker in this situation and play much more defensively than he would like to originally.
That drone needs to start a podcast, man. He's got the Hawk Tua for sure.
He's gonna make a coin as well.
Yeah, rug pull a coin as well. I mean, that drone getting some insane damage, and that's gonna be really prohibitive of Light pushing across the map with naked Marines. Like, you don't want to be pushing out now. Those early game trades are kind of on a knife's edge between winning and losing. If there's, you know, 6 Lings and 6 Marines, you can win that if your Marines have full health and you micro properly. But if the Zerg is microing hard and you don't have full health, there's not a very good chance. He's even going to build a bunker back at home. Wow.
Yeah, he should. He should. I told you. Like, you need to really calculate this a lot more Zerg favored now. Like, there's just so many things that are up in the air. It's safer just to make the bunker and not mess around.
And so quite a few Lings have been made. Not a huge amount. It's not like a Ling all in or anything is coming from Queen. He doesn't have a macro hatchery here though. He's gone for a 2-hatch build. That's why he's able to slip out as many Lings as he has. He's going to be harassing initially with just the 6 Mutalisks, and his economy is not going to be as strong considering how much he's invested into these Lings, but he is going to have a moment here. Oh, diving on top of the Marines. Can actually kill anything though. 1 Marine goes down for a couple Lings. Not the best trade there. He was definitely looking for, you know, the full kill on all 5 Marines, but good pullback from Light.
Yeah. Really good pullback from Light, avoiding disaster here. Now he can put on a little bit of pressure and start to, you know, untuck that tail from between his legs and start to get his mojo back again. He's weathered the initial storm of worrying about any early game shenanigans from Queen. There is still a possibility that, you know, Queen was to run in with a crazy amount of Lings now, but it'd be very all in and very super crazy to do so. But Light is still thinking about that in the back of his mind. That's why he's very slow to move out with these Marines, just really biding his time and waiting till the mutas show up and try and get away with making as few turrets as possible for as long as possible to optimize his build order here, pumping up more and more barracks to produce the infantry that he needs to go out and push onto the map eventually. But for the time being, just going to try and sew himself up tightly.
Seems like about the same build as what we saw at a Royal game number 1. The 3 Rax play. Getting in here before turrets are finished. He gets 3 SCVs before taking hardly any damage. So a very good initial attack. You can see that Light started turrets in the main first, assuming that Queen would head towards that nearer location, but Queen loops around, mind games here, getting in there and gets himself a few extra kills. That's some good maneuvering from Queen. He's going to come in and try to kill a turret with some Lings and these mutas. He gets the turret, but he takes quite a bit of damage, and the Lings immediately die. So not the greatest trade. He's going to come in for some SCV kills now, but again, not awesome control out of Queen. He's taking quite a bit of damage, and he's only getting a few SCVs here and there. I think total 5 now. It's still a pretty good amount, but he's lost quite a bit of health on these mutas, although none of them have died so far.
Yeah, you want about like 6 maybe SCV kills to go into the mid game without worrying and breaking a sweat, and then you can let the Terran sit. If you got like 5 or 6 kills, you start to feel a lot more better about the game as Zerg. But not if you take too much damage on the mutas. You kind of want to get those kills for free while applying pressure and not taking too much incoming damage. Oh, needs to be careful. Nearly lost 2 mutas for free there. 1 dangerously low, starting to shave off a little bit of the top here, but not quite doing as clean of a cut as usual, and it looks like Light's hair just a little bit too thick for him right now.
Yeah, that's definitely a mistake from Queen. He had a ton of mutas in his pack that were very low, like 3, and he had units coming to assist or to reinforce, so he could have pulled the injured mutas out and mixed in the fresh mutas, but instead he fights with the injured mutas and he lets the fresh mutas fly into the group of Marines. So he's kind of walking a knife's edge right now with a lot of pressure on his shoulders. He's trying to make this transition work, but he's kind of missing the beats necessary to hold on against Light. Now Light actually returning back home. He's going to release some of that pressure, but he's going to reinforce this army and move out with an even stronger force.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, like, this is like some interesting play from it. I like the preemptive repair on the turrets, but honestly, it's not enough. Like, he can get a lot of slowdown on this the starport potentially, and if he gets the snipes on the turrets in the main base, this is going to get crazy. How many Sunguns have been made? Is that 3? 3 is not really enough, though. I mean, he needs to run back these mutas now. You need to come back and defend now, Queen. These mutas are way out of position. Now Light has a chance of breaking through here, saying there's not that many medics, but it doesn't matter. The muta's out of position. He's trying to use these 4 mutas on the left to some great effect in killing some of these Marines to soften up the clump so that the reinforcing mutas can come in and kill these before they can get on top of the turret, the main base and the drones. But I think Queen's just barely done it, but not quite. 2 of them on red HP. He needs the 2 additional mutas coming out of the hatchery to reinforce this, and he hasn't quite got that without taking some damage, so he will be able to get the drones out alive. But honestly, this is just barely too much damage that has been sustained from Queen. Now so many of these red HP mutas have been sniped down by the last remaining critical infantry of Light.
Yeah, he's done a little bit too much damage. He did pull a lot of those drones. He ended up losing 3 or 4, but still, so much damage on these mutas. The final group is not that large. After everything's been cleaned, definitely Light has enough to move out. Once again, he's actually going to return to the main and just make sure that he finishes these starports and gets this tech rolling. But he could absolutely... Oh gosh, he gets another drone there. So frustrating in a situation like this to have 1 Marine come in and kill a drone like that. But go ahead.
I have no idea why in God's green earth Light tried to build a starport there, by the way. Like, that was never happening.
Yeah, that was a little bit crazy, putting the starport out that far. I guess he was throwing things down as he was doing that bust, coming in and killing off 2 turrets. Queen opens the position. That's a lot of Marines, though. I don't know if he can actually fight that head on, and we're about to have a science vessel pop out here, and the time of the muta is almost over. I haven't seen any hint of a transition from Queen. No Hydralisk Den, no Queen's Nest. It's just been complete panic. Okay, there's the Hydralisk Den over there in the natural. Maybe he has lurkers and he'll have them in time to block these Marines coming out and just killing his 3rd base straight up, but this is going to be a rough transition, and we're probably going to see a Hydralisk Defiler out of this. I just don't see him getting efficient enough with anything else.
Yeah, I mean, he might just try and get a lurker contain and go from there, pinning the Marines in the main base, but has lost quite a significant amount of these mutalisks while doing so. He's not going to get such an easy checkmate move set up. He knows there's only 1 starport currently online. That's what he's banking on. Just knows that he's got such a good clock to play with. Only 1 vessel coming out at a time makes this way easier to manage. If it was like two vessels coming out at a time, suddenly these mutas have no staying power whatsoever. But the fact that he can get away with being a little bit cheeky for so long with these mutas, but he's actually like kind of allowing Light to come out onto the map a little bit sooner than I anticipated. Maybe he's just maybe he's just barely got enough. This irradiate is huge though. Light with that big clutch irradiate, he's just gonna have to fort GG. This is crazy. Like, I actually thought that Queen was gonna be able to buy a little bit of time there, but no, not at all.
Not at all. There were so few drones left over. Really just completely halted drone production. Was only making mutas and trying to make that work. Not taking the best trades. There were some moments of brilliance from Queen in that game, but the Mutalisk control was lacking a little bit, and his decision to stay in the main base of Light while that bus was coming in, he made the choice to come back, but it was a little bit too slow, and his reign of terror has been ended. Queen is out. Light, he's on the path to make this recovery. He could get an all kill now, And Queen just barely missed his chance. Let's see if Light can bring this back and give us a Terran victory. Light reigns on Queen's Parade, and he's going to be going up against a Mini next. We've got this PVT on Radeon. It'll be a fun situation with the vertical spots. We haven't watched much TVP lately. It's been mostly ZVP and ZVT. Actually, tons of ZVT, but TVP, I almost forgot this matchup exists, and it's been such a long time.
I mean, it helps when the players actually show up, right?
Ain't that the truth? Definitely need to get these guys a better scheduler. Maybe, you know, set up some dates beforehand. You know, there are those type of people who will always show up and are extremely reliable, and then there's the type of people who are, you know, a bit flaky and
driving the Bugattis.
Yeah, oftentimes they're just not where they need to be or where they're supposed to be, and that's the type of, I guess that's a Protoss kind of trait, possibly. I guess.
It seems to be a unique Protoss trait. Unfortunately, that does seem to be the case. Hopefully they can buck that trend a little bit, but it is what it is.
Have we seen any other race skip a week?
No.
They never have they? And Protoss has skipped like what, 3-4 weeks since we started casting together? Shun?
They're the Starcraft unruly teenager of the bunch, you know what I mean?
We take do a lot of digs at the Protoss, but would it be Starcraft without our high-tech aliens? And so we've got
slamming their bedroom doors and saying, "I hate you."
We've got kind of an early tech build out of both players. Nobody's opening with a super early expansion. I thought Mini might go for Nexus first, but in fact he's going to throw down the Nexus. Pretty early timing. He's actually banking a lot of gas. We'll see if he wants to skip range altogether and go for Robo first, or will he get that range into Robo? It's a bit safer to go range into Robo, but having that Robo out a little bit quicker can open some opportunities for harassment or for just, you know, clearing out mines and stuff like that a little bit earlier on.
Even just scouting, even just getting the Robo early, getting the observatory, getting the observers actually in the base of the Terran player before they can set up a little ring of turrets. And you never get to see what they're doing, how many factories they're laying down, their upgrade timings or anything. Sometimes it's just worth it to get the early scout on, but yeah, unfortunately, like, you want to play safe as Protoss, so you want to get that range upgrade and not let them do any early game shenanigans as well.
Yeah, both are important. Mini, see what he opts to prioritize in this game. He's got a Dragoon on the ramp. Hopefully it doesn't allow that to just walk out and the Vulture run by. No, he does manage to react to that and keeps the Vulture from getting up into that main. It's kind of a open question whether it's worth it to run by with the Vulture. Try to get some probes. You might get like 1 or 2 before the Dragon can pick it off, but it's arguably more important to get a ring of mines out, or to start to set down mines on those extra bases.
Most Terrans worth their salt would explain to you that even 1 or 2 probe kills doesn't compensate for the loss of map control and scouting information of those mines when they become active. So unless you can get 3 probe kills, it probably ain't worth it.
Well, he's gonna get no probe kills here, and he's hitting the Vulture down in the bottom right-hand corner. He's gonna be getting that upgrade shortly and looking to set up those mines in crucial locations, such as the top center, top right, and the center left, where a base will likely come out for Mini next. Looks like he did go for the Robo first. I don't see range spinning. Did you see range spinning there?
Oh, I didn't. I didn't notice it, but I mean, it could have been, and he could have cancelled it. I could have just missed it, you know.
Well, he'll definitely have to get range eventually. You can skip range to get the Robo faster, but you can never just not get range. That's not a thing that happens in. Well, it happens, but it's certainly a mistake if it does happen. I don't think Mini would make an error like that, so I'll assume that he actually finished range already and things are going along as they should. Mini gonna take his third base here, right around the 6-minute mark. Pretty on curve.
He must have done, because it's coming up to 6 minutes, and he's on curve to just barely affording the Nexus after going 2-gate Robo, so he must have not skipped range. Otherwise, he would have been able to afford the Nexus sooner.
Makes sense. Checks out. We're pretty focused on the Vulture during that time when the Cybernetic score would have been spinning, so we might have missed on the timing of that upgrade, but it's not going to matter now. As long as he's got it, it's all good. I didn't see a robotic support bay, so are there going to be Reavers this game? Feels like Mini just wants to play more of an Observer Dragoon style, control style, as he gets these extra bases online, and keeps an eye on what Light is up to and reacts to his decision making.
Yeah. I hope he does scan and kill this Observer. Please chase this. Oh, he's not quite going to get it. Look at this. Mini on top of it knows that Light looking for that Observer kill, and going to be denying him it as well. It's good that Light's at least forcing these observers out of his base, though. If he can keep on top of them and get a snipe on them eventually, it would be crazy good. Killing like 1 or 2 observers early on is really bad news bears for a Protoss player. You do not want to have to keep making more and more observers and sending them into the main base of the Terran player, especially when the turret ring will eventually be set up. So losing them early game can be problematic if you don't spot the move out timing or exactly how many factories they're laying down or something.
Absolutely. This is a situation where Mini is actually going to begin working towards that Reaver tech as well, so making any more observers right now is going to slow things down. It's just an annoyance if he's forced to make those, so he would much rather be making these Reavers, and he's got to keep these alive. He's going to slip into the back of the base. This is definitely going to die, but he's getting some crucial good information here that the starport is done and a science facility is on the way here on 2 bases. This is a very old style, not a super old style, but it's a pretty old style of Terran that we're seeing out of Light this game. It's been really meta for about the past like 2 years, I want to say. I could be wrong about that, but for what feels like a very long time, Robo style has just made this really fast double upgrade from the Terran player not that efficient, and it forces them to sit here on 2 bases for too long. The Protoss just gets massive, and you can't really do anything about it.
It's been just more than 2 years, but yeah, you're right. It's been problematic for quite some time, this Robo style. And back in the day, we used to have like Tank Goliath as the understood reaction to shuttle play with Reaver, but we see a more optimized style in dealing with that as of late, in like, you know, just getting say 4 or so Goliaths to like tactically snipe the shuttle with 2 volleys and things like that, and, you know, trying to optimize the response and getting into a higher factory count early on to pump out a few more rounds of units to have, you know, more push potential in the mid game, so you're not just stuck defending all game long in the corner of your base. But yeah, sometimes you still want to pull out the upgrade Terran card and just sit back and turtle, get double armories early on. That's why we saw such an early starport and science facilities, and get those double armories churning away and getting those upgrade timings on point, so you get such a more cost-efficient army later on. So you just build up a massive amount of force, go into 3-3 upgrades as quickly as possible, and by the time you are trading with the Protoss player, the units that you've been building up all game now trade even better than they would have earlier on, so you're getting more value. And yeah, you basically like you're like going to the supermarket with about 500 vouchers and getting your bill down to like negative $100, so they're giving you money for your groceries.
That is efficiency, Shun. That's what I'm talking about. We've got the vultures in the top right nearly killing this CC, but the Dragoons headed up that direction to stop that from happening. Happen upon the dropship, which is making its way over. Oh my god, running into mines! That is not the Mini that we know. This guy making some serious errors that are being forced out by Light. Now gonna bring the vultures here, killing a few probes, but overall a reasonable cleanup. It's just running into mines like that is so painful, and Light, now that he's killed off a bunch of Dragoons kind of for free, he's going to be able to push out and take this third before 11 minutes with double upgrade coming. That is crazy. That shouldn't be allowed to stand, truly, in this modern day and age.
I mean, yeah, but he's got so much damage done onto this Nexus, and he's just lost a few Dragoons for free, that you kind of have to just, like, let it ride. Like, you're kind of, like, in stabilization mode right now. You know, you're not quite in, like, hyperdrive mode where everything is going your way and, like, you know, all the stars are aligning. You're in a little bit of a damage control situation. You can't really line up to optimize to punish something like this. You'll go and, like, you know, skirmish a little bit. Maybe shuttle and Reaver action, try and pick off some SCVs if he's not paying attention, but I don't think he'll get away with it. I think, like, he's gonna have to let this ride, more or less.
Yeah, that's a result of a little bit of mismanagement of those Dragoons, and most importantly the observers, right? You gotta have the observers with the Dragoons moving properly and clearing out these mines. There's still mines over here in front of the third base, which should have been cleared quite a long time ago. He's just lacking on that Dragoon count. Has a lot of money built up as well, and he's looking to actually push in. He's only 9 supply ahead of Light. That's wild.
But Mini is very stubborn and emotional, so he might just still try and go for it anyway. Like, we've seen this so many time and time again. Like, Mini just doesn't like to lose, and sometimes if it doesn't go his way, he just does these kind of gambits and hopes for the best. Poor man's recall, massive mind drag, doesn't really amount to much. Just a few. This is what could do a lot of damage. These 2 Reavers in the back, if they can get a tactical snipe on a few depots and this armory, could be critical for Mini. Doesn't get the depot and armory snipe though, unfortunately. He's going to be a little bit tilted after that, especially not be able to get any additional SUV kills as compensation or anything. So yeah, it's okay for Mini, but this is really not going his way. Like, he probably will be tilting a little bit after that, I have to imagine.
Yeah, that went terribly for Mini. He's gone for the double robo style, which ostensibly should be able to shut down the double upgrades that Light has been going for, but the way that the game has gone and how he just threw away all those shuttles and hasn't really gotten anything for it, and now Light is on 2-1. This is the timing that Light was looking to hit, and he's going to be hitting it from a position of power. I mean, Mini is going to be struggling just to stop this army. He's got some Templar out here, but Light is shoving forward, and this position is just going to get better for him. He's got more upgrades coming. He's going to be getting into +3, +2. When that hits, it's going to get even worse for Mini, and he hasn't really outgrown Light in this game. Oh my god, these mines, which he forgot to clear so long ago. I was talking about them earlier, end up playing a massive role, picking off a bunch of these Dragoons as they try to retreat.
I mean, this is just wild. Light is playing out of his mind right now. Like, I think someone in the comments last time, like, tried to debate me on, like, saying something like Light was only a middling player and he never got, like, any all kills back in Pro League. I had to give him the receipts of the dates, and you can see this guy is an absolute madman. The amount of experience and wealth of knowledge he's got under his belt cannot be denied. It doesn't matter that he plays at a more middling speed of 300 APM. He's more efficient with those actions than you could ever hope to be.
I think that's
Look at the tank pre-spreading as well. Look at the tank pre-spreading. Nothing is being, like, there's no corners cutting at all in his control.
Oh, he's doing a fantastic job. He's spending his money better than Mini, and he's got just an amazing control as well. Mini making a lot of mistakes this game, but I think this is a pretty decent move, doing a counterattack at this moment. He knows that he can't fight that Terran army that's in the middle. It's definitely going to kill his third base, so he's just kind of cutting his losses, sending army around the map, and just trying to do a counterattack while building up in the top right. He's got a gateway count over there. He's not out of this game just yet. If he throws his army away, though, he may just go out. Oh gosh, that's quite a lot of tanks. They are very stacked, but Great targeting there from Light to just kill all the Dragoons immediately, and the Zealots won't be a problem.
Man, Light just gives me chills. Like, he's one of the only pro gamers that genuinely gets me a little bit speechless when I'm watching him play. Because I almost, like, for a second forget how good he is. Then he starts playing like this, and my jaw starts to, like, go a little bit slack. And I'm like, how is this guy this good? He's like the modern day Flash. Like, he's just got... You can't contest with this amount of experience and knowledge. Like, it's undeniable, Sam.
There are times when he doesn't play at his absolute peak form, but when you see him at his peak, it's for sure astonishing to watch, making this very kind of old school play work against the modern style of Mini, something that shouldn't really be possible. Mini just struggling against everything that Light is doing, and he's not really doing anything super special the whole game. He's just been very typical standard, moving his units properly, you know, getting the mines out. Now we're gonna have an engagement here. Desperate final stand of the Protoss. There's so many tanks here. A lot of these tanks just gonna run in. Great final shot from that Reaver. It does get pulled back, so it can continue the fight. But most of the army has been cleaned, and there's still quite a bit of forces here for Light. That really massive threshold of 3-2 has been passed. That upgrade finishing is just going to be probably the nail in the coffin for Mini, because how is he ever going to engage this army that's sitting out in front of his natural or his third base?
I mean, this is Light's worst matchup by quite a long shot, and he's making, even this, he's got so much finesse. Like, this guy is such a complete player. When your weakest matchup looks this good, you can tell, like, how good someone is in StarCraft. It's so hard to be a well-rounded player. You've always got one hole, one, like, chink in your armor that you can't quite figure out. That's why Flash was so good, like, dominant all three matchups, and that's why players like Light are also so good. They look so good in all three, and it's some pretty good play from Mini, trying to get some mind drags onto these tanks. Like, he's making the right moves, but it's just like Light's also making amazing moves. This is great, though. These two DTs might actually buy him a way of coming back into this game. If Light doesn't notice, okay, he just now knows. Oh, he hasn't got scan. I think he was waiting on energy, because he was watching that for a few seconds, waiting on the energy. I think he ran out of scan for a second there and couldn't quite scan enough to actually get those DTs out of the picture. And now he's lost quite a few tanks in his top right quadrant of the map. Has denied some mining time for Mini, so Mini's not churning on all cylinders by any means either. So it kind of resets the game state a little bit here, but still Light ahead in most metrics.
Looks like Mini's gonna go for a little bit of a gamble, try to get some shuttles in here to get massive kills on some of these fresh bases. Can he actually get some Templar into one of these locations and kill a lot of these SCVs? It doesn't look like it. Oh, it's actually not a Templar, it's a Reaver drop. The Reavers coming in this late into the game are not gonna do too well. SCVs have been pulled, and the shuttle's gonna end up going down. Just needs to get a couple of these Goliaths into position. There it is.
This is rough for Mini. He's 122 supply to 170. Now we can see the DTs are coming out. It's like in StarCraft 2, they used to say, when behind Dark Shrine. Similar process here. Like, you just gotta make DTs and hope for the best, and like send out a big conga line of DTs and try and force so many scans that they run out and they can't quite kill you because you're sandbagging the push too much. Maybe somehow Mini can try and come back from that game state is what he's hoping. I don't think he's going to be successful in doing that. However, this is a crazy army we're seeing that's leveraging right now, and the way he's controlling it is also insane. The way he's able to bring it to bear so fluidly like this, the way he's moving around the map with like such like suppleness and like ease of movement.
And he's also brought along a science vessel, so even if there weren't enough scans available, the science vessel is going to fill the gap and prevent these DTs from really holding on to anything. All Mini can hope for is that he can do some sort of counterattack, but I don't think that's even going to be possible. He's trying to move around the left-hand side of the map, just slipping by a few units, but even as he does so, Light starts to move over towards the top right, and he's clearing out even more Dragoons here. This attack is looking kind of doomed from the inception. As soon as it wasn't even an idea in Mini's mind, it was already kind of cooked. The army's going to come from behind now, completely sandwich these forces like, up against this wall. Mini's trying to retreat away from this, but the DPS is taking out a ton of these kind of squishy dragoons that are making a run for it over to this base. Another base is going to go down. A lot of DTs are moving down to the bottom center. They've actually found a location where they could maybe do some damage, but even if he kills every SCV at this base, all the workers and the CC, I don't think I give Mini much of a hope of winning this game at below 100 supply.
I mean, those Templars can like form a boy band called the Templar 5 or something and make their way downtown for a few moments and have themselves a good old time, but that's going to be short-lived, saying Light is in full-on domination mode, almost dwarfing Mini and eclipsing him twice, double in supply right now. This is wild stuff. I thought we saw Queen executing high levels of domination earlier over the likes of Tyson YC, and now we see Light doing this to Mini of all people. This is kind of wild, Sam.
There it is. GG. Mini taps out Light on the rampage. She's got 2 more Zerg opponents waiting for him in the wings. Jaedong, our hero. Who's it gonna be? Okay, as we step into what could be the final game of the night, match point here between Light and Hero. I just want to let everybody know that SOOP account has been made, and we will be starting the best of 7 series here soon. SOOP didn't really like the idea of Super Saiyan games, so we're actually going to change the name, which doesn't really matter too much to me. I don't really care about the name. I'll save that for maybe a future tournament, maybe organizing at some point. But the new name is going to be the SOOP Duel Series, and we'll be starting that very, very soon. So if you don't mind, if you want to help out, I would really appreciate it if you guys could click the link in the description. It'll be the first link, and you can go over to SOOP, make an account, follow the channel, and you know, maybe support. That would be amazing. Really, it will help out a lot us. Not only me, but also everyone who's trying to work with SOOP and to, you know, become a part of the Korean scene, to kind of forge that connection between the English and the Korean scene, and, you know, open the way for more opportunities, not just for me, but for other English casters to work with the Koreans in the future. So please click that link, make an account, follow the channel, come and watch. I'll be making announcements in the future about when those streams will be, and they're actually going to be 5 days a week, so that's coming up soon. And anyways, now into this game, we've got Light opening up with a barracks on high ground. He could have opened kind of Mickey Mouse build here, but decides against it. Is there actually some sort of doodad blocking you from Mickey Mousing here? I remember somebody in the comments let me know a little bit earlier that, or maybe a couple weeks ago, that on this map, bottom left, bottom right, there is a doodad that prevents you from doing the wall-in, where you have the 2 supply depots on top of each other and the barracks next to the supply depot.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, there is like a little...
Interesting.
I did check it in single player, and it is true. There is like a really kind of a weird doodad there stopping you from getting the wall in. So that's sort of a modern balancing technique from map makers, just to make it a little bit harder for Terrans to get that nice and easy wall in. Yeah, and we do want to see that kind of adjustments be made onto maps, because it is kind of a little bit imbalanced. Already Zerg has their work cut out for them just a tiny bit, maybe you could argue, against Terran in this matchup. So give them a little bit of wiggle room so that the Terran can't just get away with like walling in and getting away with murder, hardly making any Marines, and, you know, being as greedy as they like or something, and making their build order range wider than it should be against a 2-hatch play. You can argue that that's a little bit too unfair. So it's nice to see these tiny adjustments to the map to slowly smooth out those rough edges on the matchup win rates, to, you know, make it a little bit fairer and more interesting to watch, with no, like, you know, unfortunate wins happening early on that you didn't want to see. You want to see a game actually get underway and some action happening, rather than, oh, this guy just dies early game because of this imbalance thing or whatever. Yeah, you don't want to pigeonhole certain races and certain matches into only doing one type of play as well. You want there to be more of a range of things that they can do, and that's what map editing is all about, is changing up rather than the actual balance in the game of the units and their damage and health and all that kind of stuff that we see. Those changes happen in StarCraft 2 and other RTS all the time. We actually just want to see them alter the map slightly to try and alter the balance and make this game the best that it can possibly be, and they've done a great job of it so far, and I think they're just getting better, honestly, Sean. It's crazy that it's been going on for 25 years and they're still getting better at it, but I really do think that they are finally perfecting that art of map making.
Oh no, they are. If you guys only knew how bad it used to be compared to how good it is now, you have no idea. It's like comparing like a crack addict that you give £50 to stab someone to like a professional hitman that like knows his shit. It's just like night and day difference in how efficient they are in like mapping everything out and like drawing circles on the map to like map out how a siege tank can interact with the map at every possible location and things like this. And like mineral pathing is considered really at a high level, and the stress testing they give the maps when they like hand it to a few pros to actually game test the map, it's really like cutthroat. Like the pros are literally shouting at the editors like, fix this quick, and they quickly edit it, quickly fix the map, quickly go back to the pros play on it, fix this quick, and you're quickly going through iteration after iteration after iteration, and eventually they're grinding out games on these maps while shouting at the map editors to make small changes so they can keep practicing and keep figuring out the small adjustments to the map they need to make to actually make it balanced.
It's underappreciated art, that is for sure. We have to salute the map editors who spend so much time kind of unappreciated and underappreciated, absolutely, for putting these things together and putting their heart and soul into these maps. And now we've got these beautiful games to watch. They're only made possible by them, truly. Light pushing out now and putting some threat onto Hero. His early game Mutilus control is looking good, but Light likewise keeping his Marines together and doing a good job controlling those bioforces, preventing Light from, or Hero from getting any free kills on these Marines as they start to traverse this map.
Yeah, I mean, I actually wasn't too surprised that we're seeing a little bit of a reverse sweep from Light, but Hero's a different bag of tricks. We saw Light dispatch of Hero quite handily with this sort of like delayed move out and punishing Hero's lack of sunkens later on. We see Light to be quite reserved against players like Hero. Hero's the kind of guy that you never know if he's going to make 5 mutas and drones or like go straight into 10 mutas. You never know quite what he's going to do initially. You kind of usually have to play a little bit more reserved against him, figure out his range, and then go for the decision after the fact. So you're playing much more on the back foot initially against a guy like Hero. That's why we see Light playing much more reserved, trying to keep his bio into a tight ball. His tech is I don't know, like it looks on curve enough. I feel like Light's in an okay spot right now, but this is Hero we're talking about, so I still feel like this is probably the most at-risk Light has been all evening, maybe.
And no real damage has been done to Hero. He's done a good job of forcing out some stims from this bio group, but he's gonna allow it to reach this natural and be reinforced. And he hasn't been really getting too many free kills. Now gonna lose a couple of mutas here. Great targeting there from Light to make sure that he kills one of those. Every time that the mutas come in to deal some damage, they're just getting sniped down really handily by Light.
Yeah, it's hard to do that with such a big blob of bio as well, because you've got so much additional control inputs you need to keep them all tight together like that. He was kind of doing it with just one side of his army to simplify. But keeping the Marines in a square formation like this is critical. It's okay to break apart into a line formation when you engage the mutas and shoot, but while you're traversing, you want to stay as tightly grouped in a square formation as possible, just to make it harder for the mutas to come in and snipe too many stragglers for free. But usually good Zerg players will still find a way of pulling you apart. It's so hard to keep on top of everything, but players like Light can keep on top of everything and keep their I's dotted and their T's crossed, playing at 400 APM. He really does kick his his arse into gear for this matchup, and he's one of the best in the business at this matchup when it comes down to it. When he's playing his A game, he's had like 90% win rate in this matchup in the past. It's absolutely insane what this guy can do.
I think this is definitely Light's forte. If not TVT, then it's definitely TVZ.
Yeah.
And so he's going to be putting on a lot of pressure. I wonder if he's cutting SCVs right now. We haven't done a shot of his base for a little bit, but he likes to cut SCVs at 35 and add on a lot more barracks really early and just start to overwhelm the Zerg player with so much production and dropships and irradiates everywhere that the Zerg's just not really going to be able to take their 4th base comfortably. It's going to be tough for Hero to come down this ramp. He's probably going to have to wait for a Defiler to make that happen. And so he's just going to be sitting here, one Hydra on the ramp, ready to morph into a Lurker to make it harder for these, or maybe even impossible for these Marines to come up that ramp. And he's got a good defensive setup over at his natural, but just as he's getting all of these drones online, will there be a drop play coming out of Light to try and mess up his transition? Haven't seen it just yet, but that's a massive bioforce moving through the middle.
Yeah, well, I just want to point something out. Light supply is also usually deceptive. Like, he's the kind of guy that also typically cuts SCVs way earlier than other Terran players, like around about 40 or so SCVs, maybe even as early as like 36, 38, and then just going straight into production. So when you see a supply of 127, most of that is army. There's not a lot of SCVs behind that, so it is actually quite a sizable count of force to have out on the map. It's deceptively a small number. It's in a way it's way higher than that in terms of how much army he can bring to bear. But look at this tactical maneuver of Hero. Might be able to bait out some irradiates and get a snipe on this CC, but no, not going to get the snipe on that CC, and taking quite a lot of damage to the irradiates. Light is looking pretty good. Just going to leave a handful of Marines behind to defend this CC going up again. And kind of denying anything happening out onto the map. If he can stop this 4th base going up for a long time, that's going to put Light into a great position as well. But honestly, the window for Light to do something will start to close on him over the coming minutes.
Yeah, I'm interested at the way that Zerg players are using their mutas in these mid-game situations has changed a lot, I feel. So much more focused on stopping these additional bases than they used to be. It's been traditionally, oh god, he's going to lose all these mutas, it looks like. Yeah, loses them all, doesn't get the SCV. That's unfortunate. He was gunning for that SCV, but traditionally it's been the case that these Zerg players will just keep their mutas back at home and utilize them for drop defense. However, it's just become so much more popular recently to make better use out of those units by picking off the SCVs as the Terran players trying to just expand out all over the map. Now, these Lurkers are very spread. That will help to reduce the chance of getting busted by a Firebat D-Matrix play, but now he's going to get like 4 or 5 irradiates off, kill almost every Lurker under this Dark Swarm, and that's going to be making it very difficult for Hero to push down this ramp. He really wants to get forward now and take this next base. This 4th base is very important, and it needs to be taken soon. He's actually making a lot of Hydras. I was thinking he might be doing this Hydras Defiler style. As soon as I saw the extra 4 hatches get put down, 2 in the main, 2 in the 3rd base, Hydras Defiler was definitely on the table, but I wasn't 100% sure that was what was coming. It does seem that he wants to move in that direction, though, and that's interesting here on Radeon.
Yeah, seems like that might be the case, and Light is doing exactly what he should be doing. He's churning away, but while he's churning away, he's getting this bottom right set up. He can double expand, eventually get some factories. So that beautiful tactical snipe on that Defiler, and even against a Lurker as well before those Marines go down. These are the kind of small trades that make all the difference in this matchup and really start to cripple the ebb and flow of the Zerg player. Never really allow them to kind of establish themselves in the game, like constantly throwing wrenches into their engine and forcing them to like constantly be in like damage control mode really hiccups both a Terran player and a Zerg player. So you usually see both sides trying to like get both establish their own flow in the game, but then disrupt the other player's flow to be able to get some kind of advantage going. Because usually if you have got the tempo on your side, it's so easy to spiral out of control and get a win out of it. So you kind of want to do constant trades back and forth and trying to seize momentum away from your player and force him to let some of his plates to crash to the ground and smash while also keeping your own plate spinning.
Sometimes the best defense is a good offense, and that is true in Brood War as well. So just forcing your opponent to spin more plates than you might allow you to take an early advantage or take an advantage in some of these late game fights. This big army of Hydralisk Lurker moving forward, but without any Defilers, it's not nearly as scary of a force. The snipes on Defilers so far have been really good, and look at this coming forward. Just gets that quicker radiate down on the Defiler. There's going to be a Dark Swarm, but the forces are looking really small for Hero. He should be able to pump out so much off of the number of hatcheries that he's managed to produce, but he just doesn't have the Defilers along with this army to start plaguing and really getting good value out of these units. And so it's just Light putting on the pressure constantly, and these little army groups that are moving out constantly getting mopped up by the Terran.
Yeah, he's keeping the Hero playing reactionary, and now finally Hero's managed to find a moment where, okay, I can actually be a little bit proactive for once and start to push out onto that map. But just as he does that, now Light is going to force another issue, try and dive into the natural expansion, this top right quadrant. He gets the radiates onto those Defilers and backs away, crippling the utility that's available to Hero in that section of the map, and now pulling his army back into the center to remain active and quickly responding to any other threats that are generating. We see this small contingency of Lurkers and Hydras meeting a contingency of infantry of Lights in the bottom left here, but if he can just slow this army down just a few seconds, it stops Hero getting like right into the choke and being even more annoying, and makes it way easier to clean up. You just irradiate everything back out, and then suddenly the attack just fizzles.
Yeah, it looks like Hero's small attack towards the natural, that little run by with the Defiler, Lurker, and Hydra army is not going to pay off too well. It does stop Light from sending reinforcements for a moment. Finally gets a plague off. That's a decent plague. It's not the greatest plague in the world, but this attack, this counter attack down towards Light's natural, it's only going to slow him down just a tiny bit, and he's still cutting off forces. He's still sniping down armies that are trying to push out from Hero. Hero's having such a hard time moving forward anywhere, getting any progress going out on the map. Light is controlling this game beautifully, but Hero is about to explode. Hydralisk Defiler, when you are on 4 bases, you got the 4 gases going and this many hatcheries, you're going to have a lot of units. The problem I see is 4 factories have been made. 2 in the bottom right, 2 in the main base. He's going to start making masses of tanks. This is the perfect counter to this type of style.
Absolutely. This is what you used to do back on the day on maps like Fighting Spirit. You would just take another main base, drop some factories, and do the big old mech switch in the mid to late game. And it's all these 2 dropships getting completely shut down. Hero on fire as well. Both players playing out of their mind today, firing on all cylinders, dotting their I's, crossing their T's. But yeah, this mech switch is going to be a tough order for Hero to deal with. I don't know. He's gonna have like a lot of problems in the kitchen getting the chefs to coordinate, because if he doesn't deal with him soon, like within like 3 or 4 minutes, there's going to be so many tanks that are churning out that Light will just run away with this game, and there won't be that much that Hero can do about it. I don't know if Hero's even identified that this is even occurring yet, so he might just be thinking he's playing as like an SK Terran that's throwing in a few tanks to deal with the Hydras, and won't really expect the flood of tanks being generated in the bottom right for some time.
Dude, 4 factories of tanks pumping non-stop is so many units, and he's even getting +1 already. By the way, the armory down in bottom right, as those mech upgrades start to come in, the tanks trade so well. And once you get, you know, like you were saying in a previous game about 20 tanks. You can spread them out in the middle of the map. It's so difficult to engage into, and the Terran's just going to have half the map bleeding you dry as you try to dive in with Hydraling and Defiler. It's just, the trades are just awful. They're so bad.
Yeah.
Scourge, are they going to be sent to deal with these two dropships? He did a great job earlier at stopping that. He does have the Scourge on the way, and it looks like he's going to shut this down twice. I can't believe that Light went for this a second time. That is wild.
It's crazy. I mean, yeah, he's almost as stubborn as Mini in that regard. Certainly not as emotional, though. This is interesting. It might get a couple of drones, I guess, but yeah, not. Look at that Plague, though. Look at that Plague. Holy God. Okay, that kind of flips this game on its head a little bit. Maybe Hero can make this work if he can somehow get a Mutalisk and snipe all these vessels for free. Maybe there's not enough tanks out on the field, and suddenly he can overrun the positions of Light, and the Roman Empire will start to crumble under its own weight.
Oh my God, this Muta's coming in! 2 so far, 3 so far. There were 11 Mutas in that group, or 11 vessels in that group, and that one Muta is starting to do some huge work. He should be able to kill that one for sure. That'll go down, but the Irradiate will finish that Mutalisk off. Oh my God, it's coming in again! He's gonna get more kills!
Oh, he just got 4 more
no way.
vessels. What is going on?
That is so much value for one Plague and one Muta. This has brought Hero, I think, on par at least with Light. And Light is just going to push into top center. He's going to throw a lot of his bio at the wall, try to get some damage done. But his tank count is not that high. If Hero swings the aggro back onto his side of the map, is Light going to be able to hold on to his tank number? If he gets this tank number reset, the game is going to be up in the air. Tanks are sieging up, but they're just going to get taken down kind of right after the siege. Bunch of oh my gosh, another great Plague here, dealing so much damage to these bio forces, and the tank number is extremely low.
Yeah, I mean, this is a somewhat sizable force, but there's not that many tanks here, and Hero might slowly engulf this army over time. He's got a large force moving out from the right side of the map. Lots of Lings going to be flooding from the top left. Loads hatching out of the eggs. Hero's going to go for a big pincer maneuver now. Try and mop up as many of these tanks that are left straggling out on the map, and then see if he can maybe do a pincer maneuver on the army that's left like stranded right now with no reinforcements to see. He's going to try and go for a Hail Mary push and try and go on the offense here and not just bide his time. He's got a few fire bats to weather the storm against all those Lings, and the preemptive Irradiate on the Defiler, but I'm not sure if it's going to be enough. Summit swarms will go down regardless, and now the onslaught is going to start to come Light's way. Already 6 o'clock under siege, and units being cut for reinforcements. Lurkers bearing on top of Marines as well, saying suddenly Hero is fighting back strong.
That was a great surround with the Lings there, and Lurkers coming from the south. Light barely managed to slip a few units away as that engagement was happening, but mostly cleaned up everything. However, Light did hold on to bottom center. He's still on, what is it, 6 bases? That's a lot of money incoming for the Terran player. He can start to make battle cruisers. He can just even throw down more factories, keep those tank upgrades rolling, and yeah, this is a ton of factory. Look at all the armories, man. He's got triple armory. He can start making air weapons as well, start producing battle cruisers. 4 starports. Dude, the macro on Light is insane. That is crazy.
Yeah, he is kicking up into late game shenanigans. He knows this game might go the distance of true split map situation, and he's prepared for it. He wants to go deep into mech and super late game. We have a lot of Ultralisks being produced out of Hero. He doesn't want to let it get to that stage. He wants to try and leverage his advantage now before the tank count gets too high, trying to get out of maneuvered by on the right hand side here, but not able to do so. The tank lines are quite deep, so Light's still feeling pretty okay about this spot. He has let Hero buy some ground for free, but not enough to really punish him at the moment. He's not able to really leverage much of these forces besides killing a couple of siege takers, some turrets. He's not able to get on top of the mineral line just yet, so just barely clutching this defense out with a few well-positioned siege tanks in the deep tank line there. And now this drop is huge, saying Firebat's getting drone kills.
Light still persisting with the drop play up into top left after getting shut down twice.
It's like
is just
Boxer and Nada combined.
that is so unexpected, but it's actually going to do a little bit of work. Hero slipping by that big tank army that's hitting his base over there at the top right. Is it going to be able to maybe get on this high ground? Oh, the medic and marine are actually blocking quite well, and only one ultra will get up there. That's going to be cleaned up here pretty soon. One lurker at the bottom of that mineral line is actually killing a lot of Light's workers. But Light cleaned that one base. It's hard to say who's going to win this one, man. It's still really up in the air. There's a lot of tanks coming out of Light. He's going to have that insane mech army, but there's still options here for Hero.
Yeah, I mean, there are still options, and you also can do a queen transition, just go up into like 12 queens and start like brooding in tanks. That is another option available to him, but for now he wants to keep the game as chaotic as possible, try and see if possible. Look at this preemptive repair from Light, clogging up this choke point as well, stopping the Ultralisk even being able to be leveraged at all. This is crazy high level stuff we're seeing from both players, but Light is doing a better job of shutting down the gambits of Hero thus far. Maybe Hero a tiny bit desperate. I mean, it's going to be really hard for Hero to trade out cost efficient late game. I'm having to say this favors Light in this current game state. If he's not also going to be utilizing queens anytime soon and relying purely on Lurker, Ling, Ultra, Defiler, I mean, eventually Light is going to trade more efficiently than that the longer the game persists.
I think Light's already trading pretty darn well. The base, the attack down there in the bottom center, that could have been so much more efficient if he just brought a Defiler along with that, but he didn't have one, so a lot of his stuff got cleaned up pretty quickly just by the bunker. Now there's army pushing up towards top center. He has to keep this alive. Vultures are coming out en masse now, making a bunch of mines everywhere, and this is just going to make him even more efficient against these ultras and lings that are spilling out still from Hero.
Yeah, and look at these medics not being able to get out as well. The Ultra's body blocking them, saying, no, you're not leaving the party. You're getting chumped up. Unfortunately, all those Marines from earlier probably would have done a better job of matching with those. Maybe need a better wrap. Look at this spreading of the Vibats 2 in, the natural 2 in going into the main. Maybe get even more drone goes in the main. Oh my god! I thought the tanks were going to get smashed by the mine drag there. Those tanks barely walking away with their lives. So many units are going down all over the place right now, but Light getting the better end of the stick right now. 180 supply to 100. Hero starting to fall right now, losing units left, right, and center. Does manage to clear up some of the tanks in the center of the board, but needs to do a cleanup on R5 in the top left.
That base goes down. He manages to hold on to top center, but he's lost a ton of drones and the mining at this fort. This is one of the only real gas bases that he has remaining, and now that he sent everything over there to the top left to defend, he's opened up a location for Light to push once again. This base in the top center is going to go down, and GG. Hero taken out by Light.
Wow.
Reverse all kill is real, man. Wow. He's going to get it if he gets it. All he needs to do is just take down Jaedong. That's it.
Yeah.
And we get a rematch, by the way, from last week. Last week we had some matches between Light and Jaedong. Came down to them in the finals. We're going to repeat that final match once again right here, right now. Jaedong versus Light. Let's go. All right, I misspoke there in that last game. It wasn't Light that clutched it out last week. It was actually Speed who ended up winning, but there were some good back and forths between Jaedong and Light.
Yeah.
Had some good matches, and we're gonna get a little repeat here today. Now, once again, on what was this? What is the name of this map again? Citadel, something like that? No, not Citadel. Metropolis. That's the one. Citadel was what, 2 seasons ago, something like that.
A while ago, yeah. With the ramp, the ridge with the eggs on top and shit.
That's right. This map, the boomerang map, the boomerang main base. Drops are going to be powerful here. Could also see a lot of harassments from with the Mutalisk. and that play being very powerful. See what Jaedong wants to bring us today. Is he gonna go for? Well, he did go for an early pool, right? What's the plan here with this early pool?
Well, it's kind of like you know, a punishment. 14 CC, 8 racks, 9 racks, 10 racks, 6 racks, anything that's early, shenanigan-y, and just like, you know, tempo out the pressure away back onto your opponent. But it looks like Light's playing super standard. The problem is that his barracks is facing outwards, so maybe Jaedong actually can still get some punishment here and catch a few of these Marines as they hatch.
We could make 4 6-lings potentially. But making any more than that is really going to hurt his economy. Let's see if he makes the full 6. Even that is a little bit rough. If you make 6-lings early game... Oh
my god, he got the regeneration.
Wow.
He got regeneration. Just barely. Just barely got that. But that was frame perfect. Like, almost frame perfect, he got this regeneration and barely couldn't kill this drone. SCV could have tried to go for a follow-up kill, but Light's not looking for it enough. Now we got a lot of SCVs being pulled off the line as well, so Light's a little bit panicky about this.
Well, if this doesn't do any damage at all, I would say Light in a pretty significant lead. He killed 1 SCV. 6-lings make their way to the front. Oh, a 3rd base. Interesting. 3 hatch before gas to follow up their early pool. We've definitely seen this before. Maybe it was just on in one of my daily dose episodes, maybe a regular ladder cast that I did recently, but the early game pool into 3 hatch is a build that kind of allows you to come back from this early economic deficit, but there are some holes in the gameplay. There are some gaps that are difficult to fill, and the Mutalisk attack is going to be a full minute behind where it would regularly be. We're talking like 7-minute, maybe a little later than that, Mutas coming into the base rather than 6 minutes.
Right. Yeah, Light doing a bit of a naked Marine push. I'm not sure if this is a full committal or if it's like a double bluff where he's actually going to go for it and like assume that Jaedong didn't make too many additional lings here and is going to play greedy. He might just force the issue right now and just assume that Jaedong didn't make too many additional pairs of lings, and maybe Jaedong gets a little bit punished now and has to pull drones off the line. Very least might lose. Gets pretty good surround from the right, but not the great surface area. He has to go to fight with the drones and now gets 2 drones sniped, maybe a 3rd as well. This is paying dividends for like 4 drone kills for this effort, and might even get this last drone. Oh, he gets it!
I counted 6 there, Shun. This is so much damage. So much damage.
That's crazy.
He's not even going to be able to afford to produce off of all these hatcheries now. This Naked Marine move out did insane damage, and you know what? 1 more pair of lings would have shut that down. If he had 1 more pair.
Yeah. Yeah,
he would have been able to beat that and not lose any drones, most likely. But he just skipped that tiny little bit.
This is the mind games at this level, though, like, because like Jaedong wants to be super greedy because he took this hatchery. He wants to be super optimal, but that's punished him. But the reality is that Light, most Terrans wouldn't like fully commit to that attack. They would like kind of like pull away at the last minute, assuming that you made the lings and that they need to run back or they're going to lose all their Marines. But Light's the kind of guy like calls your bluff and or double bluffs. Like this guy is like crazy. Like this is the levels you have to operate to be at the highest level of StarCraft. Like to keep guessing and keep like trying to think 1 step ahead of your opponent is not easy.
Oh my gosh, another Naked Marine move out. It's going to hit the natural. There's a sunken colony. It's so late. There's only 4 lings, 6 lings. Does he have speed? I don't think so. Sunken colony on the way, but it's taking so much damage. It's going to be brought down below the threshold where it can die in just 1 hit. The moment that it spawns, they bring in the drones from behind, but they're not the greatest targeting with the drones. The drone's not really doing that much damage. There's the kill. Immediately, as soon as it spawns, it loses, what is it, 100 HP. And lings popping out of the eggs are just going to be targeted down immediately. GG! Oh my goodness. Jaedong gets taken down. Last game of the night. A bit of an anticlimactic finisher as a light clutches it up for his squad.
He gets a reverse orc kill, man. I'm happy for him. He's done a great job. He's done a great job of like playing like an absolute beast tonight. Like we really thought Queen was gonna go all the way with the new matriarchy, but no, Light is the Donald Trump of this squad and acts as the disruptor and says no. Things are gonna change around here. Pendulum swings the other way.
Okay, taking a look at our point ranking. Nice symmetrical graph we're looking at so far. Terran 2 wins deep. Zerg 2 times in a row, second place, and Protoss down in the dirt. It's deserved though. Not showing up week number 1 that's where it gets you, I assume.
Yeah, I mean, the Protoss squad didn't even show up, and now on week 1, and now they're going to start flatlining. They've only got themselves to blame. I don't want to hear any complaining. They've only got themselves to blame. You know what I mean? Like, what if they don't even show up in week number 1, and they're going to fall behind by sending out, 2 B teamers? Like, it is what it is. Like, they got to deal with it. If they're going to play for the semis, they're going to play for the semis. I'm happy to see a struggle for the Terran and Zerg. They've been actually putting out pretty good games, and yeah, I've got nothing to complain about those 2 squads. They've been playing amazing. The Protoss squad's been a bit of a letdown though.
Well, you know what I heard, Shun, is that Rain is going to be playing again this SSL
I hope
season.
So. Oh, please, yes. He's a genius of a player. Like, he's not like the best of players or anything like that, but he thinks about the game differently. He's like a StarCraft 2 prodigy kind of player that also is really talented in StarCraft and thinks about the game a little bit differently and has a totally different way of breaking the game down. And watching him play would be, interesting to say the least.
It would be awesome if we could get him in the KCM as well. Be a great addition to the lineup. It's just the guy practices so little and plays even less. So plays in tournaments even less. So it would maybe be difficult to get him in here, but definitely the Protoss needs a knight in shining armor. They need somebody to come in and help them to get a win in KCM and bring themselves back into this lineup. Give them a chance maybe to make it to the finals this season.
Yeah.
Here's hoping, Shun. We're going to get a better Protoss lineup in the future. I had high hopes at the beginning of this week for YSC and Tyson, but these Zergs and Terrans are really bringing it. Queen, he's got it all on the table. Light's got it all on the table. These 2 players are looking insanely strong. It's going to be scary going into this season of SSL if we've got 0 playing at this level and Light playing at this level.
Right.
There's going to be some hot competition this season.
Some groups of death, to say the least.
Another standout player or another name that just came to mind as well. Sue is playing Broodwar.
Yeah.
And he's back from Starcraft 2 now. So there's a possibility we might see him in KCM. I've seen him play the Pro League, Daily Pro League. He's been in there a few times playing for some cash. And streaming Broodwar. So another great name that may be showing his face in the KCM and may try out for SSL this season. Who knows, guys? So much is going on in Broodwar right now. There's so many great things coming out. Again, please go down into the comments or into the description. Click on that first link. Join SOOP. It would really help me out, and it will help out the Broodwar scene in general. The English scene of Broodwar needs your help, so give me that assistance. Also, we're going to be casting more SCSL, Shun and I, so go and check out the Starcast TV channel. Maybe go and give them a sub when we first start casting for SCSL. That'll help us out the most. If you can hold off on that, I will be updating you guys and letting you know. Yeah, my Twitter or on this YouTube channel. I'll let you guys know when those videos start coming out, and if you show an outpouring of support, we would really appreciate it. It'll give us, more. What would you call it? More support, more
just give us
legitimacy.
That extra push.
give us that little bit of an extra push, and help us to work with SCSL and with more Korean players or more Korean broadcasters in the future. Thank you so much. I'm done talking now. Shouldn't anything last you want to say?
No, I hope you guys enjoyed the games. I certainly did. I'm looking forward to casting a lot more games. We're saying now that we're going to have so much more content to chew through and get through and bring to you guys. I'm super excited about it. Just want to get onto that. So I hope you guys have a nice weekend, and yeah, peace. Thank you guys.
Bye guys.